I showed up for the family dinner I paid for. The place was empty. Mom laughed and said, "That was yesterday. We'll bring you some leftovers." I didn't say anything, but the next morning, the police did. I should have known something was wrong the second I pulled into the parking lot. No familiar cars, no noise, no cousins pretending to hide while they smoked, just silence. I checked the message again. Friday, 7 p.m. Mateos. Can't wait to see everyone. Mom, 2 weeks ago. It was Friday, 7:02. I was right on time. Like an idiot. Inside, the restaurant was busy, soft music, people chatting. But the private room I booked and paid for, locked, empty. "Can I help you, sir?" the hostess asked. "Yeah." "Thompson party, private room?" She looked at the list. "Oh, that was last night." "No, it's tonight," I said. "I booked it, paid the deposit." She looked again. 16 people, big cake. Your mom even brought place cards. "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" I let out a dry, bitter laugh. "No, I'm not mistaken." She asked if I wanted to call someone. I already was. The phone rang. "Hi, sweetie," Mom said like nothing was wrong. "Where's everybody?" A pause, then that laugh she uses when she's lying. "Oh honey, it was yesterday. We thought you weren't coming, but we'll bring you leftovers." I hung up. No one called back. Then I got a text from my sister Tina. "Bro, you seriously missed it. Classic. Don't worry, we saved you a roll." My hands were shaking. I couldn't tell if it was from the cold or anger. "They came, ate, left?" I asked the hostess. She shrugged, looked like they had fun. "Of course they did, they always do when I'm not around." I didn't yell, I didn't text them, I just left. But I didn't go home. I sat in the car, thinking about the bill, the deposit, the messages I sent Mom confirming the time, 10 of them. They knew, they just didn't care. This wasn't the first time they left me out, just the first time they didn't pretend they hadn't. Growing up, Tina was the bright one, I was the one who didn't need much. Which really meant, you're used to being unloved, so we're not wasting any on you. When I got my first real job, I called Mom excited. She didn't say congratulations. She said, "Great, now you can help Tina with rent." That was the start. 1 month of rent became a year, then bills, her dental work, car insurance, textbooks for a program she dropped and never paid me back for. I kept paying, thinking that's what love meant in a family. But in mine, love only went one way. Every time I said something, even gently, they'd hit me with, "Don't be so transactional. Tina's struggling. Why are you keeping score?" I wasn't keeping score. They just never saw I was hurting. Once I sent $600 for her cat's emergency vet visit. Later that day, she posted new shoes and champagne with some guy. I showed Mom, she laughed and said, "You boys are so petty about money." Petty? I paid their property taxes. Covered Tina's credit cards when she got laid off. Maxed my savings one Christmas to buy everyone gifts. And what did I get? A framed photo of the family. I wasn't in it. But the worst was what I heard one night at their house. I'd just given Tina $1,200. Went downstairs for water, and heard them talking. "Tina, he's so into playing the martyr, it's pathetic." "Mom, he acts like a hero just because he pays." "Dad, let him. He's not getting married anyway, might as well be useful." Then Tina said, "He thinks we'd fall apart without him? Please, if he vanished tomorrow, I wouldn't even notice." I didn't say anything, just went back upstairs. The next morning, Mom made pancakes like nothing had happened. I stopped sending money, for 2 weeks. Then Tina texted, "I need rent, I'll pay you back, promise." I didn't respond. Then Mom called, "Tina's struggling, she's sensitive, why are you being cold?" I said, "I can't keep doing this." Mom said, "If you're going to punish us for raising you, maybe we shouldn't have bothered." That broke something in me. I sent the money later that day. And now, after all that, they had a family dinner without me. The one I paid for. The one I confirmed. And Mom just said, "It was yesterday, we'll bring you leftovers." Leftovers, like I was a dog. Not a son, not a brother, just a wallet with arms. I sat in my car that night, thinking about every time I'd tried to be the good one, what it had cost me. Tomorrow, I wouldn't be the good one anymore. I knew exactly where I'd start. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was sad or angry. I was planning. Dinner at Mateo's cost me $1,740. 16 people, appetizers, special menus. I even paid extra for Tina's vegan dish and Aunt Mary's wine allergy. They didn't forget me. They chose to exclude me. The next morning, I sent a message in the group chat. Let's meet at Mom's tonight, 7 p.m. I have something for you. No one asked what it was. Of course not. At 6:58, I pulled into the driveway. Everyone was already inside. Tina was on her phone. Dad had a beer. Mom was fixing the pillows. She looked up and smiled. Hi honey, we weren't sure if you'd still be upset. I said nothing. Tina looked up. Fake nice. We didn't mean to hurt you. Thursday was just easier. We have lives, you know. I set a big envelope on the table. Mom asked, what's this? I sat down and said, it's a bill. Dad scoffed. A bill? For what? For the dinner, I said. The one you all enjoyed without me. Tina laughed. You're joking. I'm not. Mom squinted at me. Are you really asking us to pay you back? No, I said, leaning in. I'm giving you the chance. From now on, anything you want from me comes with an invoice. The room went quiet. Then Dad sat up, looking serious. You need to drop this attitude. We're family, right? Family? I asked. The same family that left me out of the reunion I paid for? The same family that drained me financially and emotionally for years? Tina rolled her eyes. No one made you pay. That's when something inside me snapped. I stood up. Fine, let's talk about what no one made me do. I pointed at Tina. I wasn't forced to pay your rent for 2 years, or cover your overdraft fees, or pay for your car repair. I turned to Mom. I didn't have to pay your back taxes, or cover your birthday cruise when you said Dad forgot, or buy groceries when you suddenly couldn't walk because of your knee. Dad's face turned red. Watch it. I'm just getting started, I said, pulling out a list from my pocket. You don't want to hear it? I've had to live it. Then, I dropped a folder on the table. What's this now? Dad snapped. I smiled. Documentation. Every single transaction, every wire, every Venmo, every receipt. Tina laughed. Wow, you're really crazy. No, I said, calm as ever. I'm protected. I filed a fraud report this morning. All of this, I tapped the folder, is already in the system. What do you mean? Mom asked, her voice quiet now. I looked her in the eyes. Last week, I found out someone used my name to open a credit card, the same one that paid for a new iPhone and a spa package Tina posted about but said was a gift from a friend. Tina froze. I called the credit card company. They're investigating it as identity theft. The address they gave? Yours. Tina stood up. Are you serious? Yep, I said. And if you think I won't press charges? You wouldn't dare, Mom hissed. Try me. Then it all exploded. Tina yelled. You're pathetic. Dad shouted. You want to send your sister to jail? Do you want me to keep being the fool forever? I shot back. Mom started crying. You're ruining this family. No, I said, heading for the door. I'm saving myself from it. Then, the unexpected happened. As I was about to leave, my cousin Luke, the quiet one, spoke up. I'd like to pay my share, he said softly, of the dinner. I mean, it's only fair. Everyone turned to look at him. He added. I know I should have said something earlier, but they plan to exclude you. I was there when they joked about it, said you'd be too dramatic. I'm sorry. I looked at him, and for the first time that night, I smiled. Thanks. Then I walked out. They thought they could use me forever, but they forgot one thing, even the quiet ones speak up eventually. And when we do, we don't whisper. We call the cops. The next morning, at 8:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Private number. I answered. Hi, is this Daniel Thompson? Yes. This is Officer Reynolds from the local precinct. We're following up on a report of financial fraud involving a credit card opened in your name. Your family's address was listed. We'll be visiting today for a statement. I was quiet for a moment. Do you need me there? No, sir, you've done your part. We'll handle it from here. I hung up and sat back, calm. For once, they'd open the door and find someone they couldn't manipulate. This time, I didn't have to speak. The police did it for me. I thought silence would bring peace, but it brought chaos. They say when you remove the keystone from an arch, everything falls apart. I wasn't the keystone. I was the whole foundation. And when I stepped away, everything crashed. The police visit wasn't subtle. Mom left me a long, angry voicemail. Apparently, they arrived at 7:45 a.m., while she was still in her robe and Dad hadn't even had his coffee. 2 officers, 1 male, 1 female. They were professional but direct. "We're following up on an identity theft claim. The credit card was used for over $4,000 in purchases linked to this address. We need to know who had access." Mom's response: "There must be a mistake. We're a good family." Typical. They asked to speak to everyone. Tina tried to leave, saying she had work. The officers told her to stay. She broke down in 5 minutes. "It wasn't even fraud. He always helps. I thought he wouldn't care." Mom tried to intervene. She's stressed. She didn't mean it. But it was too late. The officer wrote everything down, even asked to see Tina's phone. Then it got worse. They found text messages from Tina to a friend. "Use my bro's info. Gonna get a spa day on him. IDC, he's such a pushover, he won't even notice." It wasn't just fraud. It was planned. That same day, I got a call from a detective. "We have enough to move forward with charges. Would you like to proceed formally?" I asked for 1 day. The next evening, my phone blew up. 27 missed calls, 41 messages. "Mom, Daniel, please, we need to talk. It was a mistake." She panicked. "She's still your sister. Dad, you don't want to destroy her life over this." "Tina, you selfish jerk. I'll lose my job, my apartment. You're ruining our family." Funny how no one cared when I was losing pieces of myself for them. I waited a day. Then I called the detective. "Can we pause the formal charge?" He agreed, but made it clear, it doesn't go away, it just waits. That's when Mom tried to make her move. She called, her voice soft like she was offering peace. "If you really want to fix things, come to the house. Let's talk face to face." Against my better judgment, I went. The moment I walked in, I regretted it. Tina was on the couch, wrapped in a blanket like she was the victim. Mom had the worried mother act down. Dad didn't even bother to get up. "We just want to heal," Mom said. "We?" I asked. "We know you're hurt, but this is tearing the family apart." "No," I said, "Tina did that." Tina's voice cracked. "I didn't think you'd actually go to the cops. Who does that?" "Someone who's been pushed too far," I replied. Mom reached for my hand. "Let's fix this. We'll pay you back. You don't need the police." "Funny," I said, "you didn't offer that before they showed up." She pulled her hand back like I slapped her. Dad finally spoke. "You're not perfect either. You think this makes you a hero?" I looked him in the eye. "No, it makes me free." Then I walked out. This time, for good. A week later, the detective called again. "We got a payment for the charges. It was anonymous, but it came from a joint account under your parents' names. Do you want to press charges anyway?" I thought for a while, then said, "No," but I added, "Not this time, but I want it on record. If she ever does anything with my name again, I want her charged." The detective agreed, and I hung up. Just like that, I was done with them. No more money, no more guilt, no more walking into rooms where I was invisible, unless they needed help with a phone bill. A fresh start. 2 weeks later, I moved out of state. A small town, quiet, a friendly landlord, rent half of what I paid back home. The first weekend, I spent time putting together IKEA furniture and listening to old music I hadn't heard in years. I went grocery shopping and bought the things I liked. I sat on my own couch with coffee and a book, and no one knocked asking for help. For the first time in years, I realized I was only responsible for me. But here's the surprise. 3 weeks into my new life, I got a letter. Handwritten, no return address. Inside was a folded paper and a check. The note read, "I don't expect you to forgive me, but thank you for doing what I never had the courage to. Luke." The check was for half of the dinner bill. I smiled. He didn't owe me anything, but he did it anyway. The rest of them? I never heard from them again. Not for my birthday. Not for Christmas. Not even when Dad had surgery later that year. I only found out through a distant cousin's Facebook post. And you know what? Good. They learned to live without me. And I learned to live without them. People always say, blood is thicker than water. They forget the second part of that quote, but it's the blood of the covenant that's thicker than the water of the womb. In other words, loyalty you choose matters more than family. I learned that the hard way. The last time I saw my family's faces was when I left that house. Folder in my hand, fire in my chest. Since then? No contact. At first, silence felt like punishment. Now, it feels like freedom. A few weeks ago, I bumped into someone from back home. A girl I went to high school with. She recognized me in the checkout line at the store. "Hey, didn't you used to be Tina's brother?" I paused, smiled. No. Just like that. No shame, no hesitation. Because I'm not Tina's brother anymore. I'm not the good son. I'm not the bank. I'm not the guy who shows up when everyone else disappears. I'm me. And for the first time in 32 years, that's enough. They thought I wouldn't make it without them. That I'd come crawling back. That I needed their version of love, their guilt trips dressed up as concern, their control disguised as closeness. They were wrong. I don't need Sunday dinners where I sit in silence while they celebrate themselves. I don't need check-ins that are really just requests. I don't need to explain why I changed my number, moved, or didn't show up for Christmas. Let them wonder. Let them stew. Let them explain my absence to everyone else. Because deep down, they know. They pushed me away. And for once, I didn't beg to come back. You want to know the best part? They lost their control the second I stopped asking for love and started demanding respect. People like that, they'll use family against you. But the second you set boundaries, they call you cold, selfish, broken. I'm none of those things. I'm just finally not theirs anymore. And Tina? She didn't lose her job. She didn't go to jail. But you know what? She did lose her mask. Now, everyone knows what she did. How she lied. How she used me. How she laughed behind my back while draining me dry. Now no one trusts her. Luke left the house. Aunt Carol won't let Tina babysit anymore. Uncle Steve called me and said, "Tina's name is mud at every family event. You don't need to come back. They messed up. We all see it now." But I told him what I'll tell you. It's not about who sees it. It's about who survived it. And I did. So no, I'm not going to pretend everything's fine. I'm not going to send birthday cards or pick up out of guilt. I'm not going to show up for fake hugs and tense dinners just so mom can complain about how hard it is to keep families together. I'm not theirs anymore. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I wake up now, and there's peace. I work, and keep what I earn. I eat what I want. I don't apologize for saying no. I don't flinch when my phone buzzes. I don't hold my breath around people who claim to love me. I'm free. Not because they let me go, but because I finally stopped waiting for their permission. Let them keep their leftover dinners. Let them gossip. Let them beg, rage, twist the story, call me the villain. I'll sleep like a baby. Because the truth is simple. When they shut that door on me, I didn't lose a family. They lost me. And that's the first bill they'll never pay.
The cream-colored envelope felt like it was burning through my fingers. I must have read the names printed in elegant gold script 100 times, but they still didn't make sense. Camilla Armstrong and Gabriel Evans request the pleasure of your company. My mother and my boyfriend of 6 years. Getting married to each other. My name is Hope, and this is the story of how I destroyed my mother's wedding. Are you actually going to open it? Victoria asked, perched on the edge of my kitchen counter with a glass of wine that had long since gone warm. She'd rushed over the moment I texted her about the invitation's arrival. I already know what's inside, I said, finally tearing open the envelope. Just like I knew something was wrong when Gabriel started working late at Mom's company 6 months ago. Just like I knew something was off when Mom started wearing that perfume he bought me for Christmas. The invitation slipped out, along with a handwritten note in my mother's perfect cursive. Darling, I hope you'll stand beside me on my special day. Despite everything, you're still my daughter. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Victoria set down her wine and wrapped her arms around me. Your mom is a real piece of work, she whispered. You know what the worst part is? I pulled away, wiping my eyes. Last Thanksgiving, when Gabriel said he needed space to find himself, Mom held me while I cried. She stroked my hair and told me everything happens for a reason. Hope, Victoria started. No, wait, it gets better. I grabbed my phone, scrolling through old messages. Look at this text from her, dated 2 weeks after Gabriel moved out. "Sweetheart, come over for dinner. You can't keep hiding away. Let me help you heal." Victoria's face darkened as she read the message. She was already seeing him then, wasn't she? Had to be. I walked to the window, staring out at the city lights. You know what I remember most from growing up? How everyone said I was lucky to have such a glamorous mother. Camilla Armstrong, the successful businesswoman who somehow managed to be the perfect single mom too. People only saw what she wanted them to see. Exactly. I turned back to Victoria. "Remember last month when I told you I thought I saw them together at that little Italian place on 4th Street? The one Gabriel and I used to love. And I told you that you were being paranoid." Victoria grimaced. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be. You helped me see what I needed to see." I picked up the invitation again, running my finger along the embossed edges. "They're getting married in 6 weeks, at the Grand Plaza Hotel. Mom always said she'd help plan my wedding there someday." "You don't have to go," Victoria said softly. "No one would blame you." A memory flashed through my mind. Gabriel and I curled up on his couch, planning our future. "I want your mom to help with the wedding," he'd said. "She has amazing taste." Now I wondered if he'd been thinking about my mother even then. "Actually, I do have to go." I walked to my desk and pulled out my laptop. "But not for the reasons they think." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "What are you planning?" "You know what I've been investigating for the paper? Those real estate investment scams?" I opened a folder filled with documents. "Guess whose company's name keeps coming up in my research?" "No way." Victoria leaned in closer. "Your mom's involved." I wasn't sure at first, but then I started digging deeper. I clicked through several spreadsheets. "There are millions missing, Victoria. And the signatures on these documents, I'd know Gabriel's handwriting anywhere." "Holy shit." Victoria grabbed my arm. "Hope, are you saying—" "I'm saying that my mother and my ex-boyfriend aren't just planning their dream wedding. They're also running a massive fraud scheme." I closed the laptop with a decisive click. "And I'm going to expose everything, right in the middle of their perfect day." "That's—" Victoria paused, a slow smile spreading across her face. "That's absolutely brilliant and terrifying. Are you sure about this?" I picked up the invitation one last time, then deliberately ripped it in half. "Mom always taught me to go after what I want, to never let anyone take advantage of me." I dropped the torn pieces into the trash. I guess it's time to show her just how well I learned those lessons. My phone buzzed with a text. "Mom. Darling, did you get the invitation? Please say you'll be there. It would mean everything to have you with us." I typed back quickly. "Of course, Mom. I wouldn't miss it for the world." Victoria raised her glass. "To Karma." I grabbed my own glass, clinking it against hers. "To karma, and to making sure everyone finally sees the truth." Looking back now, I realize that moment was when everything truly began. When I decided to stop being the dutiful daughter and start being the woman who would bring it all crashing down. But first, I had 6 weeks to gather every piece of evidence, every dark secret, every betrayal. And then I would give them a wedding day they'd never forget. "Look at this," Victoria said, spreading documents across my dining room table. "Your mother's company made 6 real estate purchases in the last year alone. Each property was bought for way above market value. It had been 3 days since the wedding invitation arrived, and we'd barely slept, diving deep into my mother's business dealings. The morning sun streamed through my apartment windows, illuminating coffee cups and takeout containers scattered among the papers. "That's just the beginning," I said, pulling up a spreadsheet on my laptop. "See these wire transfers? They're going to shell companies. Gabriel's signature is on every single one." Victoria leaned closer, frowning. "When did he start working for your mom's company?" "Officially, 8 months ago." I clicked through more documents. "But look at this email chain from last year. They were already discussing investment opportunities while he was still living with me. While you were still planning your future together," Victoria added quietly. The memory hit me like a punch to the gut. Last summer, we went ring shopping. He said he was just getting ideas. I laughed bitterly. Guess he was getting ideas all right, just not for me. My phone buzzed. Mom's face lit up the screen. Darling, we simply must discuss your dress for the wedding. Lunch today? The usual place? I showed Victoria the text. Should I go? Absolutely. Victoria's eyes gleamed. We need to know if she suspects anything. Plus, you might learn something useful. 2 hours later, I sat across from my mother at Café Lucienne, watching her delicately cut into her salmon. She looked immaculate as always, perfectly styled silver hair, designer outfit, not a wrinkle in sight. I'm so glad you're being mature about all this, she said, reaching across the table to pat my hand. Gabriel was worried you might make a scene. I forced a smile. Why would I? You've always said everything happens for a reason. Exactly, she beamed. You know, when Gabriel first came to work for me, I never imagined. But sometimes love just sneaks up on you. When exactly did it sneak up on you, Mom? I kept my voice light, casual. Was it before or after he moved out of our apartment? Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. Hope, darling, don't be crude. These things are complicated. Like your latest property acquisitions. Her eyes narrowed slightly. What do you mean? Oh, just something I heard at work. You know how we journalists love our real estate stories. I sipped my water. That development project on Riverside is fascinating. Business talk is so boring. She waved her hand dismissively. Let's discuss your dress. I'm thinking emerald green would be lovely with your coloring. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. Found something big. Get back here ASAP. Actually, Mom, I need to run. Breaking news story. I stood, dropping my napkin on the table. But you're right. Emerald green would be perfect. She stood to kiss my cheek. That's my girl. I knew you'd understand eventually. I barely made it out of the restaurant before my hands started shaking. Back at my apartment, Victoria was practically bouncing with excitement. You're not going to believe this, she said, pulling up a document on my laptop. Remember that old family friend, Javier? He's listed as a director on 3 of these shell companies. Javier, I stared at the screen. He's been coming to our Christmas parties for 20 years. He used to bring me birthday presents. Well, now he's helping your mom and Gabriel hide millions in fraudulent real estate deals. Victoria pointed to a series of signatures. And look who notarized these documents. Margaret from Mom's office. I felt sick. How many people are involved in this? Enough to make it a major story. Victoria looked at me seriously. Hope, this is bigger than just revenge now. These people are stealing millions. I sank onto my couch, mind racing. Mom invited Javier to the wedding. He's supposed to give a toast. Perfect. Victoria sat beside me. But we need more concrete evidence, bank records, emails, something that proves intent to defraud. I might know how to get those. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through contacts. Remember Atticus? The family lawyer who helped with Dad's estate. He's always had concerns about Mom's business practices. Will he help? Only one way to find out. I dialed his number, heart pounding. Atticus, it's Hope. I need your help with something sensitive. Can we meet? After arranging a meeting for the next morning, I turned to Victoria. You know what's funny? All those years growing up, I thought Mom was this amazing, powerful woman who could do anything. She is powerful, Victoria said quietly. She's just not amazing. No, I agreed, looking at the evidence of her crimes spread across my table. But soon everyone else will know that too. My phone buzzed again, another text from Mom. Darling, Gabriel and I would love to have you over for dinner this weekend. Family should stick together, don't you think? I smiled grimly as I typed my response. Absolutely, Mom. Family is everything. Atticus's office hadn't changed in 20 years. Same leather chairs, same wall of law books, same concerned expression as he reviewed the documents spread across his desk. He paused, adjusting his reading glasses. Troubling, to say the least. That's one word for it, I said, watching him flip through the papers Victoria and I had compiled. Can you help me access the rest of Mom's records? He leaned back in his chair, studying me. Hope, I've known you since you were 11 years old. Are you sure you want to go down this road? She's marrying my boyfriend, Atticus, my boyfriend. My voice cracked slightly. And they're stealing millions while doing it. He nodded slowly, then pressed a button on his intercom. Sandra, hold my calls, please. Turning back to me, he pulled out a thick file from his drawer. Your mother made me sign extensive NDAs, but there are irregularities I've noticed over the years. What kind of irregularities? Property valuations that didn't add up, companies appearing and disappearing too quickly. He spread out more documents. About 6 months ago, she started moving large sums through offshore accounts. Around the time Gabriel started working for her, I noted. Exactly. Atticus removed his glasses, rubbing his eyes. Hope, do you remember when your father died? The question caught me off guard. Of course, I was 16. Your mother took control of his share of the business remarkably quickly. He gave me a meaningful look, almost as if she'd been preparing for it. My stomach lurched. What are you saying? I'm saying that your mother has a pattern of using people, then discarding them when they're no longer useful. He pulled out another file. These are copies of documents I've kept, just in case. Bank statements, contracts, emails, things that seemed off. My phone buzzed. Gabriel's name appeared on the screen. I showed it to Atticus. Answer it, he said. Act normal. I took a deep breath and picked up. Hello? Hope. Gabriel's voice was warm, familiar. It hurt more than I expected. Your mom said you had lunch yesterday. I'm glad you're taking this so well. Well, you know me. I forced a laugh. Always practical. That's what I loved about you. A pause. Love about you, as a person, I mean. Listen, I know this is weird, but I'd really like us to stay friends. I gripped the edge of Atticus's desk until my knuckles turned white. Of course, we're practically family now, right? Exactly. Hey, maybe we could grab coffee, just to talk things through? Atticus was frantically writing on a notepad. Say yes, might reveal info. Sure, I managed. Tomorrow morning? That place near your office? After arranging details and hanging up, I slumped in my chair. I think I'm going to be sick. You're stronger than you think, Atticus said, pushing the stack of documents toward me. And now you have ammunition. Is this enough to stop them? With some additional evidence, yes. He wrote down an address. There's a storage facility where your mother keeps hard copies of everything, old habits from before digital records. The unit number is on this paper. How do I get in? You don't. He smiled slightly. But I have access as her lawyer. I could accidentally leave my key card somewhere, say on this desk, while I use the restroom. As if on cue, he stood and walked out. His key card sat conspicuously next to his coffee cup. My phone buzzed again. Victoria, how's it going with Atticus? I quickly texted back. Better than expected. Meet me in an hour, bringing presents. When Atticus returned, I was studying his law degrees on the wall, his key card safely in my pocket. Hope, he said seriously. Whatever you find, whatever you do, be careful. Your mother isn't just ruthless in business. I know. I gathered the documents he'd given me. Why are you helping me? He was quiet for a moment. I knew your father. He was a good man. What happened to him? Well, let's just say I've carried some suspicions for a long time. A chill ran down my spine. Atticus, are you saying? I'm not saying anything specific. He held up a hand. Just that patterns tend to repeat themselves. And your mother has a pattern of removing obstacles from her path. I thought about Gabriel, about how quickly he'd gone from planning a future with me to working with my mother. She doesn't just discard people, I realized. She corrupts them first. Exactly. Atticus walked me to the door. Be careful tomorrow with Gabriel. Men in love can be dangerous. Gabriel's not in love, I said, thinking of the fraud documents bearing his signature. He's in business. Outside, the spring air felt too warm, too thick. My phone showed 3 missed calls from my mother and a text. Darling, I've found the perfect wedding dress for you as my maid of honor. Come try it on tomorrow. I thought about the storage facility keycard in my pocket, about Gabriel's coffee invitation, about all the pieces falling into place. "Sorry, Mom," I muttered, typing a response. "Can't tomorrow, but don't worry. I'm working on making your wedding absolutely unforgettable." The coffee shop buzzed with morning energy as I watched Gabriel through the window. He sat at our old favorite table, checking his watch every few minutes. Same leather jacket, same perfectly messy hair, same way of drumming his fingers when he was nervous. How had I never seen the calculation behind his charm? "Remember the plan." Victoria's voice crackled through my earpiece. She was parked across the street, ready to head to the storage facility the moment I had Gabriel distracted. Keep him talking, get him comfortable. I adjusted my hidden phone recorder and walked in. Gabriel's face lit up when he saw me, and for a split second, my resolve wavered. "Hope!" He stood, pulling me into a hug that felt both familiar and wrong. "You look amazing." "Thanks." I sat down, noting the coffee he'd already ordered for me. Oat milk latte, just how I liked it. "So do you. Mom's keeping you well." He had the decency to flinch. "I know this is awkward." "Awkward?" I stirred my coffee. "Finding out your boyfriend of 6 years is marrying your mother. That's a bit more than awkward, don't you think?" "It just happened," he said, reaching for my hand. I pulled back. "We never meant to hurt you." "Tell me something." I leaned forward. "When did it start? Really?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Hope, I deserve to know, Gabriel. Was it when you started working for her company?" "No, it was." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "The investment opportunities came first. Your mother has an incredible mind for business. And for other things, apparently." I forced a smile. "Those property deals must be paying off well." His expression changed slightly. "What do you know about the properties?" "Only what Mom's mentioned." I shrugged. "She's always bragging about her latest acquisitions, like that Riverside development?" Gabriel relaxed visibly. "Right, of course. Listen, Hope, I know this is all complicated, but I'm hoping we can move past it. Your mother really wants you at the wedding." "Victoria's in," came the whisper through my earpiece. "Storage unit located." I took a sip of coffee. "Tell me about the wedding plans." "Mom said it's at the Grand Plaza. Everything top of the line." He grinned. "You know your mother, only the best will do. We're even flying in some guests from overseas, business partners." "Lots of documents," Victoria murmured in my ear. "Holy shit, Hope. There are offshore account details here, and something about your dad's old company." I kept my face neutral as Gabriel talked about flower arrangements and menu selections. My phone buzzed, a text from Javier. "Need to talk, urgent, about your mother." "Finding something interesting," Victoria whispered. "Looks like medical records." "Gabriel," I interrupted his monologue about wine selections. "Did you ever wonder why Mom was so quick to hire you, to trust you with such big accounts?" He frowned. "What do you mean?" "Just that she's usually more careful about who she lets into her inner circle. She saw my potential." His tone turned defensive. "Unlike some people." "Hope," Victoria's voice was tense. "You need to see these papers about your dad. Get out of there now." I stood abruptly. This was enlightening, but I should go. "Wait." Gabriel grabbed my wrist. "What's really going on here, Hope?" I met his eyes. "You tell me, Gabriel. How many shell companies are you managing now?" His grip tightened painfully. "Be careful," he said softly. "You're playing with things you don't understand." I yanked my arm free. "Actually, I understand perfectly. Say hi to Mom for me." Outside, I practically ran to Victoria's car, my heart pounding. She sat in the driver's seat, surrounded by photographs and documents. "Hope," she said, her face pale. "These records, they're about your father's death, the medical reports, the timing of certain transfers. It wasn't a heart attack." My world tilted sideways. "What?" "There's more." She handed me a stack of papers. "Gabriel's been involved with your mother's company longer than we thought. Way longer. Look at the dates." I flipped through the documents, my hands shaking. "These go back 2 years before he met me. He didn't randomly ask you out at that coffee shop. Victoria said quietly. He targeted you. They planned it all. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Javier. Your mother knows you're digging. Watch your back. Then another message from Gabriel. We should finish our conversation. Come to the house tonight. What do we do now? Victoria asked. I thought about Gabriel's threat in the coffee shop, about Atticus's warnings, about my father's suspicious death. We go deeper, I said. And we make sure we have backup copies of everything. Hope. Victoria hesitated. This is getting dangerous. It was always dangerous. I pulled out my phone and texted Javier. Meet me, 1 hour, bring everything you know. Then I texted Gabriel back. Sorry, busy tonight. But don't worry, I'll definitely see you at the wedding. Victoria started the car. Where to? First, we scan these documents. Then we meet Javier. I looked at the medical records about my father. It's time to find out just how far my mother will go to get what she wants. Javier never showed up for our meeting. Instead, I got a text. Your mother's here. Can't talk. Destroy this message. This is bad, Victoria said, pacing my living room. Really bad. My phone rang. Mom's number. I put it on speaker. Darling. Her voice was silk smooth. I just had the loveliest chat with Javier. He seemed quite anxious about something. You wouldn't happen to know why, would you? No idea. I kept my voice light. Maybe he's stressed about his wedding toast. I could hear her smile. Why don't you come over for dinner? We can discuss the wedding. Gabriel's cooking. Victoria frantically shook her head. Sorry, Mom. Deadline at work. Interesting. Papers rustled in the background. Because I just spoke with your editor. He mentioned you've taken some time off. Something about a personal investigation. My blood ran cold. Since when do you talk to my editor? Oh, sweetheart, I talk to everyone. Her tone hardened slightly. Now, about dinner. Actually, I said, making a sudden decision. You're right. Let's talk. But not at your house. Meet me at Riverside Park, by the fountain. 1 hour. A pause. Just us. Just us. After hanging up, Victoria grabbed my arm. Are you insane? You can't meet her alone. I'll be in public, I said, pulling out my recorder. And I need to know how much she knows. The park was quiet as dusk settled. My mother sat on a bench by the fountain, elegant as always, in her cream-colored suit. A manila envelope sat beside her. Hope, she smiled warmly. Sit. I remained standing. What did you say to Javier? Direct, as always. She patted the envelope. Just like these interesting documents you've been collecting. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Did you really think I wouldn't investigate? I countered. After what you did? What I did. She laughed softly. You mean falling in love? Or running my business as I see fit? I mean killing Dad. The words hung in the air between us. Her smile didn't waver. That's a serious accusation, darling. She opened the envelope, pulling out photographs, almost as serious as breaking into private storage units, gathering confidential documents, harassing business associates. The photos showed me and Victoria at the storage facility, at Atticus's office, meeting various sources. You've been watching me. I've been protecting you, she corrected. Just like I always have. You're my daughter, Hope. Everything I do is for family. Like seducing my boyfriend? Gabriel. She actually rolled her eyes. Please. He came to me. Ambitious young man. Eager to prove himself. Sound familiar, just like your father was, once upon a time. Until he started asking questions about the company finances. Her eyes glittered. Your father had a weak heart. It's in all the medical records. The medical records you falsified. Prove it. She stood, smoothing her suit. Oh wait, you can't. Because all your evidence? She dropped the envelope into the fountain. It's amazing how quickly paper dissolves in water. I smiled. You think those were the only copies? For the first time, her composure slipped. What? I learned from you, Mom. Always have backups. I pulled out my phone, showing her the screen. Like this recording of our entire conversation. She moved faster than I expected, reaching for my phone. I stepped back. It's already uploaded to the cloud, I said, along with everything else, the fraud documents, Dad's real medical records, the offshore accounts, even your conversations with Gabriel from before you set him up to date me. You're bluffing. Try me. I met her eyes. You taught me well, Mom. Never go into a fight without ammunition. She studied me for a long moment. What do you want? Originally, to stop your wedding. Now? I stepped closer. I want justice. For Dad. For everyone you've hurt. I could destroy you, she said softly. Your career, your reputation. You could try. I showed her another file on my phone. But then these documents go straight to the FBI. Your choice. She sat back down, suddenly looking older. You'd really do that to your own mother? You'd really kill your own husband? Steal your daughter's boyfriend? Ruin countless lives for profit? It's business, Hope, nothing personal. Well, this is personal. I turned to leave. See you at the wedding, Mom. I hear green really is my color. Hope, she called after me. You're making a mistake. I looked back at her, sitting alone by the fountain in the growing darkness. No, Mom. For the first time in my life, I'm not. My phone buzzed as I walked away. Gabriel, your mother seems upset. What did you do? I typed back. Just had a family chat. Don't worry. I'm sure she'll fill you in. After all, you're practically my dad now, right? Victoria was waiting in her car. Well? She's scared, I said, buckling up. And she should be. We have 2 weeks until the wedding, and now she knows I'm coming for her. What's our next move? I pulled out the real envelope of documents from my bag. Now we go nuclear. Call Atticus. It's time to get the FBI involved. The wedding rehearsal dinner buzzed with fake laughter and clinking glasses. I sat at the family table, watching my mother hold court, while Gabriel hovered at her side, like an attentive puppy. The FBI agent posing as my +1 squeezed my hand under the table. Steady, Agent Sarah whispered. Everything's in place for tomorrow. I nodded, taking another sip of champagne. The past week had been a whirlwind of secret meetings, wiretaps, and carefully planted evidence. Atticus had come through with everything the FBI needed to build their case. Hope, darling, my mother's voice carried across the table. You've barely touched your food. And who is your lovely friend again? Sarah, I smiled. We worked together at the paper. How nice. Mom's eyes narrowed slightly. Though I thought I knew all your colleagues. Gabriel leaned forward. Speaking of work, Hope, your editor mentioned you've been working on quite the story. Anything we should know about? Oh, I shrugged. Just following the money. It's amazing what people think they can hide these days. The champagne glass in my mother's hand trembled slightly. Darling, perhaps we should discuss your career choices in private. Why? I looked around the table. Isn't family supposed to share everything? Javier, sitting 3 seats down, suddenly developed a coughing fit. Hope, Gabriel's voice held a warning. This isn't the time or place. You're right. I stood, raising my glass. This is a time for toasts, isn't it? To the happy couple, to new beginnings, to secrets finally coming to light. That's enough, my mother snapped, her composure cracking. Is it? I turned to the other guests. Did you know Gabriel and my mother were involved for months before he broke up with me? Or that the company's real estate deals are all… Gabriel grabbed my arm, pulling me away from the table. Outside. Now. In the hotel corridor, he slammed me against the wall. What the hell are you playing at? Let go of me, I said calmly, very aware of the wire I was wearing. You think you're so clever, he hissed. But you have no idea what your mother is capable of. Actually, I do. Dad found out too, didn't he? Right before his heart attack. His grip tightened. You need to drop this, Hope, for your own good. Or what? You'll spike my drink like you did to Dad? He stepped back as if burned. How did you… No? I straightened my dress. I know everything, Gabriel, about the long con, about how Mom hired you to date me so she could keep tabs on me, about the offshore accounts, the fraudulent properties, all of it. You can't prove anything. Check your text messages. He pulled out his phone, face draining of color, as he saw the files I'd just sent him. Documents, recordings, photographs. That's not even half of what I have, I said. Still want to marry into the family. Hope? My mother's voice rang out behind us. Is everything all right? I turned to face her, Gabriel's handprint still red on my arm. Perfect, Mom. Just having a heart-to-heart with my future stepfather. She glanced between us, calculating. Gabriel, give us a moment. Once he left, she stepped closer. What do you want? Money? A position in the company? I want you to feel what it's like to lose everything, I said quietly. Just like Dad did. Just like I did. I'm trying to protect you, she insisted. Everything I've done, save it for tomorrow. I cut her off. During your vows, I'm sure everyone would love to hear about your true feelings on love and loyalty. Back in the dining room, Sarah was talking to Victoria, who'd arrived as another guest's date. The pieces were all in place. Everything okay? Victoria asked as I sat down. Perfect. I checked my phone. New message from Atticus. FBI team confirmed for tomorrow. All evidence secured. My mother returned to her seat, perfectly composed once again. Gabriel whispered something in her ear, and she nodded slightly. A toast. She stood, raising her glass. To family, to love, and to my beautiful daughter, who I know will make me proud tomorrow. The threat in her voice was clear. I raised my glass in return. To tomorrow, Mom. It's going to be unforgettable. Later that night, in my apartment, Victoria helped me lay out my dress for the wedding. Emerald green, just as my mother wanted. Are you ready for this? She asked. I showed her my phone. Dozens of messages from wedding guests, all FBI agents in disguise, confirming their positions for tomorrow. The only question, I said, is whether Mom will make it through her vows before the handcuffs come out. My phone buzzed one last time. Gabriel, we need to talk, early tomorrow, before the ceremony, please. He's scared, Victoria noted. He should be. I typed back, sure, church steps, 9 a.m., just us. Victoria raised an eyebrow. You're not really going alone? I smiled, thinking of the FBI surveillance team, already in place. Of course not, but he doesn't need to know that. Tomorrow then, Victoria hugged me. The end of your mother's perfect facade. Tomorrow, I agreed, hanging up my maid of honor dress. The truth finally comes out. The church steps were empty when I arrived, except for Gabriel. He paced nervously, still in his street clothes, wedding tuxedo, presumably waiting at the hotel. I was afraid you wouldn't come, he said. You wanted to talk. I stayed at the bottom of the steps. So talk. Call it off, Hope. He descended toward me. Whatever you're planning, it's not worth it. Like Dad wasn't worth it? He flinched. That was complicated. Then uncomplicate it for me. I pressed the record button on my phone, making sure he saw me do it. Tell me exactly how you and Mom planned everything. You really want to know? His face hardened. Fine. Your mother hired me 2 years before I met you. The company was my audition. If I could help her hide the money, I could help her handle you. Handle me? You were getting too curious about your father's death, starting your journalism career, asking questions. He laughed bitterly. So she needed someone to distract you, keep you busy with romance, marriage plans, a future, while you helped her steal millions. Billions, he corrected. Those properties. Just the tip of the iceberg. Your mother's been building this empire for decades. Your father figured it out, started gathering evidence. So you killed him. I didn't. He stepped closer, but I helped cover it up, just like I'll help cover up whatever happens to you if you don't back off. Is that a threat? It's a warning. He grabbed my arm. Your mother's already made arrangements. Food poisoning, they'll say. Tragic accident at the reception. I yanked free. You really think you'll get away with this? We already have. He smiled coldly, multiple times. Got it all? I called out. Victoria emerged from behind a pillar, holding up her phone. Every word. Gabriel spun around. 2 FBI agents appeared from the church doorway. More emerged from parked cars. Gabriel Evans, Agent Sarah stepped forward, badge out. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and about dozen other charges we'll sort out down at the station. As they led him away in handcuffs, my phone rang. Mom, where are you? She demanded. The hairstylist is waiting. On my way, I said cheerfully. Just had to take care of something. See you soon. The next few hours passed in a blur of hair, makeup, and fake smiles. My mother was radiant in her wedding gown, completely unaware that half her guests were federal agents. You look beautiful, darling, she said, adjusting my emerald dress. Though you seem tense. Everything all right? Just excited for the ceremony, I smiled, especially the vows. She touched my cheek. I know this has been hard for you, but after today, we'll all be family again. One big happy family, I agreed. By the way, where's Gabriel? Isn't it bad luck for the bride to be alone before the wedding? A flicker of concern crossed her face. He's running late, last-minute errand. The church filled with guests. I stood at my mother's side, watching her grow increasingly agitated as time passed with no sign of Gabriel. Call him, she hissed. Can't. I showed her my phone. No service in here, but don't worry. I'm sure he'll turn up, unless something's keeping him busy. Her eyes narrowed. What did you do? The wedding march began to play. The doors opened, but instead of Gabriel, Agent Sarah walked down the aisle, followed by a team of FBI agents. Camilla Armstrong. Sarah's voice rang out through the church. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, money laundering. My mother turned to me, face contorted with rage. You little. Careful, Mom. I cut her off. Wouldn't want to ruin your makeup for the mugshot. As the agents led her away, I stepped to the altar. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid there's been a slight change of plans. But don't worry, I've prepared a speech. I pulled out a stack of documents. Once upon a time, there was a woman who would do anything for power, including murder her husband, steal billions of dollars, and manipulate her own daughter. This is the story of how she finally got caught. The real guests sat in shocked silence as I laid out everything. The fraud, the murder, the years of deception. Victoria recorded it all, live streaming to her news website. Mom always said everything happens for a reason, I concluded. I guess she was right. Because without her betrayal, I might never have discovered the truth. So thank you, Mom. This wedding really was unforgettable. Outside, reporters had already gathered. My mother and Gabriel were being led to separate police cars. Hope, she called out. I did everything for you, to protect you. I walked down the church steps, Victoria at my side. No, Mom. You did everything for yourself, and now you've lost everything, including me. What happens now? Victoria asked as we watched the police cars drive away. I removed my maid of honor dress, revealing a simple black outfit underneath. Now, we go write the story, all of it. And after that, I thought about the years of therapy ahead, the trials, the endless questions from family and friends. After that, I said, I finally get to live my own life, without their shadows hanging over me. Worth it? I watched my mother's police car disappear around the corner, every single second. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters as the verdict was read. I sat in the front row, watching my mother's perfectly composed facade finally crack as the judge pronounced her sentence. 25 years, Victoria whispered, squeezing my hand. Gabriel, already convicted last week, had gotten 15 years for his role in the conspiracy. He'd tried to bargain for less by testifying against my mother, but the evidence we'd gathered had been more than enough. As the bailiff led my mother away, she turned to face me one last time. I hope you're happy now, she spat. I am, I said simply. Dad would be too. Outside, microphones thrust in my face as reporters shouted questions. I held up my hand for silence. Today, justice was served, I began. Not just for my father, but for everyone hurt by Camilla Armstrong's crimes. The truth is, finally, a commotion interrupted me. Javier pushed through the crowd, looking desperate. Hope, there's something you need to know. He thrust a USB drive into my hand. I found this in your mother's private safe. It's about your father's company. There are more people involved, bigger names. Victoria grabbed my arm. Hope, look. A black SUV had pulled up to the curb. 2 men in suits stepped out, reaching into their jackets. Inside, now. Agent Sarah appeared beside us, badge out. She hustled us back into the courthouse as shots rang out. In a secure room, surrounded by FBI agents, I plugged in the USB drive. Files populated the screen. Offshore accounts, shell companies, photographs of powerful people at secret meetings. This goes higher than your mother, Sarah said, scrolling through the documents. Way higher. Politicians, judges. They tried to kill us to keep this quiet, Victoria noted. I thought about my father, about how deep he must have dug to uncover this web of corruption, about how it had cost him his life. So what do we do? Javier asked. I pulled out my phone, dialing my editor's number. We publish, all of it, right now. They'll come after you, Sarah warned. They already are. I met her eyes. But I'm not hiding anymore. Victoria pulled out her laptop. I'll start uploading to every major news site. They can't stop us all. For the next few hours, we worked frantically, releasing documents, connecting dots, exposing names. My phone buzzed constantly, with messages from other journalists, whistleblowers, more witnesses coming forward. Hope, Victoria called out, you need to see this. She turned her laptop to show me a video playing on a news site. My mother, being led to prison transport, was speaking to reporters. My daughter thinks she's won, she said, looking directly into the camera. But she's just like me, ruthless, determined. I taught her well. I closed the laptop. She's wrong. I'm nothing like her. No, Victoria agreed. You're better. You fought for truth, not power. My phone rang. Atticus. Hope, I've arranged protection for you. Safe house. New identity, if needed. No, I cut him off. I'm not running. I'm finishing what my father started. By nightfall, the story had exploded. Armstrong scandal trended worldwide. More arrests were being made. The truth was spreading faster than anyone could contain it. In the FBI safe room, I watched the coverage with Victoria and Javier. What happens tomorrow? Javier asked. Tomorrow, I smiled. Tomorrow we keep digging, keep exposing, keep fighting. They'll never stop coming after you, Sarah cautioned. Good. I pulled up a new document on my laptop, because I'm never going to stop coming after them. Victoria raised an eyebrow. What are you writing now? My next story. I showed her the title. Beyond the Armstrong Scandal, the hidden web of corporate corruption. Your mother said you're just like her, Victoria mused, determined to win at any cost. The difference is, I said, beginning to type. I'm not doing this for power or money. I'm doing it because it's right. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I opened it to find a photo. My father's old desk at his company, with a note in his handwriting. The truth always comes out. Dad knew, I realized. He knew they'd kill him, but he kept investigating anyway. Like father, like daughter, Victoria smiled. Outside the courthouse, the sun had set on the day that changed everything. But for me, it felt like dawn. The beginning of something, not the end. Ready to get back to work? Victoria asked. I looked at my laptop, at the story waiting to be told, at the truth waiting to be revealed. Always, I said, and began to write. Because that's the thing about truth. It doesn't end with one story, one trial, one victory. It keeps going, keeps demanding to be told, keeps fighting to come into the light. And I would be there to tell it, one story at a time, until every shadow was exposed to the sun.
The credit card statement stared back at me from my laptop screen, its total making my stomach lurch. $23,000. I blinked hard, hoping the number would change, but it remained stubbornly fixed. These weren't my charges. I hadn't spent a dime at the Golden Palace Casino, let alone multiple transactions totaling thousands. My name is Freya, and I've always been the responsible one, the one my family calls when they need money, advice, or someone to clean up their messes. But this was different. My phone buzzed. Mom's face lit up the screen, probably calling about the usual, Terence needs help with rent, or Dad's business is having another cash flow problem. I let it ring. Girl, you look like you've seen a ghost, Natasha said, peering over my cubicle wall. Her dark curls fell forward as she leaned in closer to look at my screen. Holy shit, Freya, that's not right. Tell me about it. I scrolled through the transactions, each one making me feel sicker than the last. I need to call the bank. Do that now, Natasha insisted, pulling up a chair. I'll cover for you with Roberts if he comes looking. The hold music played for 20 excruciating minutes before a customer service representative picked up. Hi, I'm calling about some fraudulent charges on my card. As I explained the situation, the representative's voice grew concerned. Ms. Murray, these charges were actually authorized with your PIN. Do you share your card with anyone? No, absolutely not. But even as I said it, a memory surfaced. Mom asking to borrow my card last month for emergency groceries. There's something else, the representative continued. There appears to be a credit line increase request submitted last week under your name. My hands started shaking. I never requested that. Just then, my phone buzzed again. A text from Terence. Hey sis, can you spot me $500? Just until payday. Promise I'll pay you back this time. I stared at the message, my vision blurring with tears of anger. This was the same brother who still owed me $3,000 from his last emergency. The brother Mom and Dad always said needed extra support because he was sensitive. Freya. Natasha's voice was gentle. What do you want to do? Before I could answer, my phone rang again. Dad this time. I answered, my voice tight. Hey, Dad. Princess, your mother's been trying to reach you. We need to discuss something important. Would that something be the $23,000 charged to my credit card at a casino? The silence on the other end was deafening. Freya, honey, we can explain. Your brother's been going through a rough patch. Stop. My voice came out stronger than I expected. I'm calling the police. No. Dad's voice cracked. Please, we'll figure this out as a family. You know how fragile Terence is. This would destroy him. Natasha was watching me intently, her expression a mix of concern and encouragement. She mouthed the words, "Stay strong." Dad, what about me? Did anyone think about how this would affect me? Of course we did, Princess, but you're the strong one. You always land on your feet. Terence, he needs protection. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Protection? From what? Consequences? Just come over for dinner tonight. Your mother's making your favorite lasagna. We can talk about this like adults. I glanced at the credit card statement again, then at Terence's text, still waiting for a response. My whole life flashed before me. All the times I'd said yes, all the times I'd helped, all the times I'd put my own dreams on hold to be the responsible one. No, Dad, not this time. Freya. I have to go. I have a fraud claim to file. I hung up before he could respond. Natasha squeezed my shoulder. That was badass. I think I'm going to throw up. No, you're not. You're going to file that fraud claim, and then we're going to figure out exactly what they've done. She pulled out her notebook. And then you're going to stop being everyone's ATM. My phone buzzed again. Mom, this time, with a text. Please don't do anything rash, sweetheart. Family protects family. I turned my phone off and looked at Natasha. You're right. But first, I need to check something else. If they used my credit card, what's stopping them from taking out other loans in my name? The look on Natasha's face told me she'd had the same thought. As I opened a new tab to check my credit report, I could feel my hands steadying, my shock giving way to determination. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to protect my family. I was going to protect myself. Personal loan, $45,000, approved March 15th. I read the credit report entry out loud, my voice shaking. Car loan, $32,000, approved January 3rd. Each line felt like another punch to the gut. I never applied for any of these. Natasha and I had moved our investigation to her apartment after work. Empty takeout containers littered her coffee table as we dug deeper into the financial mess my family had created. How did they even get approved for these? Natasha asked, scrolling through the documents on her laptop. They had everything they needed. My social security number, birth certificate, all my personal information. I rubbed my temples. They're my parents. I trusted them with everything. My phone, which I'd turned back on, buzzed with another message from Terrence. Come on, sis. Don't be like that. Just answer Mom and Dad's calls. Look at this, Natasha said, turning her laptop toward me. She'd pulled up my bank statements from the past year. These regular transfers to this account. Is that Terrence's? I leaned in closer. Yeah, that's his. Mom said he needed help with rent. My voice trailed off as I did the math. $5,000 a month? That's more than his entire rent should be. A knock at the door made us both jump. Natasha checked the peephole and then opened it, revealing Dean from work, carrying a stock of papers. I hope you don't mind, Natasha said. I called him. He used to work in financial crimes at his old bank. Dean set the papers down. I did some digging. Freya, this is bigger than just credit card fraud. These loans, they're using sophisticated identity theft techniques. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. My dad, I said quietly. He works in finance. He'd know how to do this. Dean sat down across from me. There's something else. I found multiple accounts at Golden Palace Casino under variations of your name. They've been active for months. My phone rang again. Mom. This time I answered and put it on speaker. Freya, please come home. We need to talk about this as a family. Like how you talked to me before taking out loans in my name. Your brother needed help. He was in trouble with some very dangerous people. We had no choice. I caught Dean's eye as he mouthed, "Record this." Natasha was already hitting record on her phone. So you decided to steal my identity? My voice was steady now, fueled by anger. Don't be so dramatic. We're your parents. Everything we have is yours anyway. We just needed to help Terrence get back on his feet. By destroying my credit, by stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in my name. Keep your voice down, Mom hissed. Your brother might hear you. He's very fragile right now. Dean was frantically writing something on a notepad. Ask about the casino accounts. Mom, what about the casino accounts in my name? There was a long pause. I don't know what you're talking about. Golden Palace Casino. Multiple accounts. Ring any bells? That's nothing for you to worry about. Your father has it under control. Natasha made a disgusted noise. Dean kept writing. Get her to admit to the loans. So you and Dad did take out those loans using my information? Of course we did. And you should be grateful. Do you know what would have happened to Terrence if we hadn't? Those gambling debts would have gotten him killed. I felt the blood drain from my face. Dean and Natasha exchanged looks. Mom, you just admitted to committing identity theft. That's a federal crime. Don't you dare threaten me. I am your mother. Not anymore. I hung up. The silence in the room was heavy. Dean broke it first. Freya, you have enough evidence here for a solid case. That recording alone. I found something else, Natasha interrupted, holding up a stack of mail she'd retrieved from her bag. These fell out of your desk when you were moving stuff earlier. They're bank statements addressed to your apartment, but they're not yours. I grabbed the envelopes. They were indeed addressed to my apartment, but to T. Murray, Terence. Inside were statement after statement showing massive casino withdrawals and overdraft fees. He's been using my address, I whispered. They've all been lying to me for months. Years, probably. Dean touched my arm gently. You need to decide what you want to do. But whatever you decide, you need to protect yourself first. I looked at the evidence spread across the table. The loans, the credit card statements, the casino accounts, the recorded confession, and now these bank statements. Years of being the responsible one, the dependable one, the one who always cleaned up everyone else's messes, and this was how they repaid me. I want to burn it all down, I said, surprising myself with the coldness in my voice. I want them to face every single consequence of what they've done. Natasha squeezed my hand. Then, let's make that happen. The bank manager's office felt too small, too warm. I sat across from her desk, watching as she reviewed the stack of documents I'd brought. Ms. Murray, she said, looking up from the papers, this is extensive. And you're saying none of these loans or accounts were authorized by you? No. My parents and brother used my information without my knowledge. She nodded, making notes. We'll need to file formal fraud reports for each account. But first, she pulled out a fresh document. There's something you should see. Another loan application was submitted in your name yesterday. My hands clenched into fists. They're still doing it? The application hasn't been processed yet. We flagged it due to the sudden high volume of credit requests. As we discussed the next steps, my phone vibrated. A text from Dean. Terence just walked into Golden Palace. Want me to follow? I hadn't expected Dean to actually stake out the casino, but I texted back immediately. Yes. Please. The bank manager was still talking. And we'll need you to sign these forms to begin the investigation. 20 minutes later, I walked out with a thick folder of documentation. Dean was waiting in his car across the street. You won't believe what I saw, he said as I got in. Your brother's in there right now, throwing around hundreds like they're nothing. He's at the high-stakes poker table. Take me there. The casino was gaudy, all flashing lights and electronic chimes. Dean led me to an observation area above the poker tables. There was Terence, surrounded by chips, laughing with a cocktail in his hand. Would you like a drink, sir? A waitress appeared beside us. No, thank you. Dean started. Yes, I interrupted. I'll have whatever he's having. I pointed at Terence. Minutes later, I walked down to the poker table, drink in hand. Terence didn't notice me at first, too focused on his cards. Hitting it big, little brother? He looked up, his smile faltering for just a second before returning, broader and faker than before. Freya, come to join the fun? Where'd you get the money, Terence? He laughed, loud and hollow. What are you, Mom? I'm working now, remember? Really? Because last I heard, you needed to borrow $500 for rent. The other players were starting to look uncomfortable. Terrence's smile became fixed. "Let's talk about this later, sis. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about the loans in my name, the credit cards, the casino accounts." Terrence's face darkened. "You're making a scene. You're making a felony." He stood up abruptly, grabbing my arm and pulling me away from the table. Dean started forward, but I waved him back. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Terrence hissed once we were in a quiet corner. "Me? You stole my identity." "I didn't steal anything. Mom and Dad handled all that. They're just trying to help me get back on my feet." "With my money? My credit?" He smirked, and in that moment, I saw him clearly for the first time. "Come on, Freya. We both know you're the responsible one, the successful one. You can handle this. I'm the one who needs help." "You need help, all right. Professional help. Don't act all high and mighty. You've always loved playing the martyr, haven't you? Perfect Freya, always sacrificing for the family." My phone buzzed. A text from Natasha. "Got the footage from the bank security cameras. Clear shots of your dad submitting the loan applications." Terrence glanced at my phone. "What are you going to do? Turn us in? They're your parents, Freya. They'll never forgive you." "Maybe I'll never forgive them." He laughed again, but there was an edge to it now. "You know what's funny? Mom and Dad are so worried about you finding out, but I told them not to stress. I said, Freya will cave. She always does. She'll cry and yell, but in the end, she'll help us fix it. She always does." I took a slow sip of my drink, letting his words sink in. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed. "Who are you calling?" "The police." His smirk vanished. "You're bluffing." "Hello? Yes, I'd like to report multiple instances of identity theft and fraud. I'm at Golden Palace Casino, and one of the perpetrators is here right now, gambling with stolen money." Terrence lunged for my phone, but Dean was suddenly there, stepping between us. "Don't," Dean said quietly. "You've done enough." Terrence looked from Dean to me, his face contorting with rage. "You stupid bitch! You have no idea what you're doing." "Actually," I said, watching as 2 security guards approached, responding to Dean's signal. "For the first time in my life, I know exactly what I'm doing." The guards reached us just as Terrence tried to run. As they detained him, I could hear him shouting, "Call Mom! Call Dad! Freya's lost her mind." But I wasn't listening anymore. I was already walking away, sending a group text to my parents. "Terrence is about to be arrested. Your turn is coming. I have everything documented." Dean fell into step beside me. "You okay?" "No," I said, "but I will be." The police station's fluorescent lights made everything look harsh and unreal. I sat in a hard plastic chair, watching through a window as Terrence was processed. Mom and Dad hadn't arrived yet, but their frantic texts kept lighting up my phone. "You need to eat something," Dean said, offering me a sandwich from the vending machine. "I can't." Detective Rivera sat down across from us, spreading out photos of the bank surveillance footage. "Your father is clearly visible in these images, submitting documents in your name. Combined with the recorded phone conversation with your mother, we have a solid case." My phone rang again. "Dad." "You should answer it," the detective said, nodding to her colleague to record the call. I put it on speaker. "Hello? Freya. What have you done?" Dad's voice was trembling. "They're holding your brother like a common criminal." "He is a criminal. So are you and Mom." "We are your family. Everything we did was to protect Terence, I know, but who was protecting me? You're being selfish. Your brother could face jail time. Detective Rivera slid a notepad across the table. Ask about the latest loan application. Dad, why did you submit another loan application in my name yesterday? A pause. Who told you about that? The bank flagged it. Were you planning to steal even more money from me? It's not stealing when it's family. Terence needed... How much does he owe? I interrupted. The real amount, Dad. No more lies. Another pause, longer this time. Close to $500,000. Dean swore under his breath. Detective Rivera leaned forward. To who? I asked. Some people. Bad people. They were threatening him. So you decided to sacrifice my future instead? We had a plan! Once Terence won big at the casino, we'd pay everything back. You'd never even know. Never know that my own parents committed felony fraud? That you destroyed my credit? That you... A commotion in the hallway cut me off. Mom burst in, her face red and tear-streaked. How dare you! She screamed, lunging toward me. An officer stepped between us. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done to me, I corrected, standing up. Where were you when I needed help with college? When I was working 3 jobs to pay my rent? You were too busy bailing out Terence. He's sensitive. He needs us. And I don't. You're strong. You can handle it. Not anymore. I turned to Detective Rivera. I want to press charges against all of them. Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Dad's voice came through the phone, still on speaker. Princess, please, we can work this out. We're family. Family doesn't steal from family, Dean said quietly. Detective Rivera nodded to an officer. Mr. Murray, we need you to come down to the station immediately. I need to call our lawyer. That would be wise, the detective said. Mrs. Murray, please remain here. Mom looked up at me, her makeup streaked across her face. You're really doing this? To your own parents? You did this. All of you. Every time you chose Terence over me. Every time you stole from me. Every time you lied. We'll never forgive you for this, she spat. I know. My voice was steady. I'm counting on it. The detective led Mom to another room for questioning. Through the window, I could see Terence in his cell, head in his hands. Dean touched my shoulder. Want to get some air? Outside, the night air was cool on my face. My phone buzzed with a text from Natasha. Just saw the news. You okay? Need me to come down? No, I texted back. But maybe later. Wine and ice cream? Already bought both. You're staying with me tonight. No arguments. Dean leaned against the wall beside me. You know what happens next, right? This goes public. Court dates. Family drama splashed across local news. I know. Your parents could go to jail. I know that too. He studied my face. You're not backing down, are you? They made their choice. Every time they forged my signature. Every time they took out another loan. Every time they chose Terence. I looked up at the stars, barely visible through the city lights. Now I'm making mine. Detective Rivera wants your statement. An officer called from the door. I straightened up, squaring my shoulders. Inside, I could hear Mom still crying, Dad's arrival creating another wave of drama, Terence's demands to speak to a lawyer. The family I'd spent my whole life protecting was falling apart, but for the first time, I wasn't rushing to pick up the pieces. Ready? Dean asked. I nodded, turning back toward the station. ready to tell the truth. All of it. The courthouse hallway buzzed with tension. 3 weeks had passed since that night at the police station, and now we were all here for the preliminary hearing. My parents sat on one bench, Terence on another with his court-appointed lawyer. None of them would look at me. "Remember," my lawyer whispered, "let me do most of the talking. Only answer what's asked." Natasha squeezed my hand. Dean stood nearby, his presence steady and reassuring. A bailiff opened the courtroom doors. "All rise." Inside, everything happened quickly. The charges were read: identity theft, fraud, financial exploitation. My parents' lawyer tried to paint it as a family matter that got out of hand. Terence's lawyer argued addiction as a mitigating factor. Then it was my turn to testify. "Ms. Murray," the prosecutor began, "please tell the court about when you first discovered the fraud." I described finding the credit card charges, the loans, the casino accounts. My voice stayed steady until I reached the part about my mother's phone call. "And what did your mother say when you confronted her?" "She said I should be grateful, that I was the strong one, so I could handle it, that Terence needed protection more than I did." Mom made a choked sound from her seat. Dad stared at his hands. "And the total amount of fraudulent charges and loans?" 487,235 halos. The judge's eyebrows rose. Terence shifted uncomfortably. "Your Honor," my parents' lawyer interrupted, "this is clearly a family matter that got out of hand. The Murray family has always been close-knit." "Close-knit?" I couldn't help myself. "They stole $500,000 from me." "Ms. Murray," the judge warned, "please only speak when questioned." "Sorry, Your Honor." Terence's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client has struggled with gambling addiction. He never intended—" "That's bull!" I burst out again. "He was bragging about it at the casino. He said I would cave, that I always cave." "Ms. Murray," the judge's voice was sharp, "one more outburst and you'll be held in contempt." My lawyer touched my arm, calming me. The prosecutor continued, presenting the bank footage, phone recordings, and documentation. With each piece of evidence, my family seemed to shrink further into themselves. During a brief recess, Terence approached me in the hallway. Dean immediately stepped closer. "Freya," Terence said, his voice low, "you can still stop this. We're blood. Blood doesn't steal from blood. Those people I owe money to, they're dangerous. If I go to jail—" "You should have thought about that before you gambled away $500,000 of my money." His face darkened. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Saint Freya, always doing the right thing. You're loving this, aren't you? Finally getting to punish us all?" Loving this. I stepped closer, my voice shaking. "I'm watching my family get charged with felonies. Mom might go to jail. Dad might lose his license. And you still think you're the victim here." "I am the victim. I'm sick. I need help, not punishment. Then you should have asked for help. Real help. Not stolen my identity and destroyed my life." "Everything okay here?" A bailiff approached, eyeing Terence. "Fine," he muttered, backing away. "Just fine." Back in the courtroom, the judge reviewed all the evidence before speaking. "The evidence of systematic fraud is overwhelming. This wasn't a one-time mistake or a family emergency. This was a calculated, long-term scheme to exploit Ms. Murray's credit and identity." She turned to my parents. "As her parents, you were supposed to protect her, not exploit her." Mom started crying again. Dad put his arm around her. Given the severity and duration of these crimes, I'm setting bail at $100,000 each. Mr. Terence Murray will remain in custody due to flight risk. Trial dates will be set for next month. The gavel struck. My parents' lawyer immediately began discussing payment plans. Terence was led away in handcuffs, shooting me a look of pure hatred. In the hallway, Mom approached me one last time. "Are you happy now?" she asked, her voice bitter. "You've destroyed this family." "No, Mom, you did that. Every time you chose him over me. Every time you stole from me. Every time you said I could handle it because I was strong. He's your brother. And I'm your daughter. Or I was." Dad tried to speak, but I turned away, walking toward Dean and Natasha. Behind me, I could hear Mom's sobs echoing through the courthouse halls. "You did the right thing," Natasha said, hugging me. "Then why does it feel so awful?" Dean took my hand. "Because you're a good person. Because despite everything they did, you still love them." "Yeah," I said, watching as my parents were led away to process bail. "I do, and that's the worst part of all of this." We walked out into the sunlight, leaving behind the family I'd lost by finally finding the strength to stand up for myself. "You've got another letter," Natasha said, holding up an envelope with the jail's return address. "Want me to add it to the pile?" I nodded from my spot on her couch, where I'd been living for the past 2 weeks. The pile of unopened letters from Terence had grown to 12. Mom and Dad, out on bail, had switched from crying voicemails to angry texts to guilt-ridden emails. My phone buzzed. Dean. "Turn on Channel 7 now." Natasha grabbed the remote. The local news was running a story about our case, in what prosecutors are calling one of the largest family fraud cases in the state. The victim's own parents allegedly... "Victim," I muttered. I hate that word. The story cut to footage of my parents leaving the courthouse, then to an old family photo someone had dug up. We were all smiling at some long-ago birthday party. Terence was blowing out candles. I was standing in the background, always in the background. A knock at the door made us jump. Dean stood there with takeout bags. "Thought you might need dinner after seeing that," he said. "They made me look like some sort of tragic figure," I said, taking a container of pad thai. "Poor Freya, betrayed by her family." "You were betrayed," Natasha pointed out. "I know, but..." My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Hello, is this Freya?" A man's voice, unfamiliar. "I'm calling about your brother's debt." My blood ran cold. Dean noticed my expression and moved closer. "Who is this?" "Let's just say I'm one of the people your brother owes money to. A lot of money." "That's not my problem." "It is now. See, your brother promised he'd pay us back with his casino winnings, but now he's in jail, thanks to you. You should talk to his lawyer." The man laughed. "We don't do lawyers. We do family, and your family." "Are you threatening me?" Dean grabbed my phone, putting it on speaker. Natasha was already dialing the police. "Not threatening, just explaining the situation. Your brother owes us $200,000. We're willing to be reasonable. Pay us, and this all goes away." "And if I don't?" "Then maybe those charges against your parents get worse. Maybe some new evidence appears. Maybe I report this call to the FBI." Dean cut in. "Since you're adding extortion to illegal gambling." A pause. "Who's this?" "Someone who's recording this call and tracing this number." The line went dead. "Call Detective Rivera," Dean said to Natasha. "Now!" My hands were shaking. They found me. They actually found me. They're trying to scare you, Dean said, pulling me close. We won't let them. Detective Rivera arrived 30 minutes later with 2 other officers. We'll need to set up surveillance, she said, pacing Natasha's living room. And you'll need protection. I can't stay here, I said to Natasha. I'm putting you in danger. Don't even think about it, Natasha replied. We're in this together. She's right, Dean added. You're not alone anymore. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. These men came to our house. What have you done? Why can't you just help your brother? Detective Rivera read the text over my shoulder. We'll need to question your parents about their contact with these individuals. They'll never cooperate, I said. They'll protect Terrence until the end. Then they'll face additional charges. Another text came through, this time from Dad. Princess, please. These men are serious. Just pay them. We'll figure out the rest later. Still protecting him, I whispered. Even now. Dean took my hand. You don't have to answer them. Actually, Detective Rivera said, we might want her to, if we can get them to admit more about these men. My phone rang again, another unknown number. Detective Rivera nodded to her colleague to trace it. Hello, Freya? It was Terrence, calling from jail. You have to help me. These guys, they're not playing around. Neither am I. They'll hurt Mom and Dad. Don't you care? Of course I care, but I'm done fixing your messes. They know where you live, where you work, who your friends are. Detective Rivera was frantically writing notes, coordinating with someone on her radio. Is that a threat, Terrence? It's a warning. Family looks out for family. Family doesn't destroy family. You're destroying me! No, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. You did that all on your own. I hung up, looking at the room full of people who had my back. Really had my back. Not like my family had claimed to all these years. Okay, I said to Detective Rivera. What's our next move? For the first time in my life, I wasn't facing a crisis alone, and that made all the difference. The trial date arrived faster than I expected. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters, their cameras flashing as we approached. Dean kept his arm around me, shielding me from their questions. Ms. Murray, how does it feel to testify against your own family? Did you know about your brother's gambling addiction? Are your parents going to prison? Inside, my parents sat with their lawyer, both looking older than I remembered. Mom had lost weight. Dad's hair had gone completely grey. They didn't look like criminals. They looked broken. Terrence was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, handcuffs clinking. The past month in jail hadn't been kind to him. His eyes were hollow, his face gaunt. All rise. The proceedings began with opening statements. The prosecutor laid out the evidence methodically. Bank records, forged documents, recorded conversations. My parents' lawyer spoke about family loyalty and misguided love. Terrence's lawyer emphasized addiction and mental health. Then they called me to testify. Ms. Murray, the prosecutor began, please tell the court about your relationship with your family before discovering the fraud. We were close, or I thought we were. I was always the one they counted on, the responsible one. And how did they repay that trust? Objection, my parents' lawyer called out, leading the witness. Sustained. The prosecutor rephrased. What happened when you discovered the unauthorized loans? I described everything. The credit card charges, the loans, the confrontations. As I spoke, I couldn't look at my family. I kept my eyes on Dean and Natasha in the gallery. "And the threatening calls?" the prosecutor asked. "They started after Terence was arrested. Men he owed money to, demanding I pay his debts." "Did your family support you during these threats?" "No. They told me to pay the men. To protect Terence." Again. During cross-examination, my parents' lawyer tried a different approach. "Isn't it true your parents only wanted to help their son? By destroying my life? By protecting their child from dangerous criminals?" "I'm their child too," the lawyer paused. "And haven't they always provided for you? Supported you?" "No. They supported Terence. I supported myself, and then they stole from me to support him more." Terence's lawyer was next. "Ms. Murray, are you aware of the nature of gambling addiction?" "Yes. I researched treatment programs for years, tried to get him help. He refused." "So you knew he was sick?" "Being sick doesn't give you the right to steal $500,000. A commotion erupted in the gallery. One of the men who'd threatened me had stood up. "You think this is over?" he shouted. "You think testifying fixes anything?" Security rushed toward him. More men stood up. 4, 5, 6 of them. "Your brother still owes us!" another yelled. The judge banged her gavel. "Order! Clear the courtroom!" Dean vaulted over the barrier, reaching me before the guards did. Natasha was right behind him. They formed a human shield as chaos erupted. My mother's voice cut through the noise. "Just pay them, Freya! Please!" I turned to see her being led away by guards, still reaching toward me. Dad wouldn't look at me at all. Terence was laughing, actually laughing, as they rushed him out. "You see?" he called out. "You can't escape family, sis." Detective Rivera appeared with more officers, surrounding us as they cleared the courtroom. In the hallway, she turned to me. "We got them. All of them. Recording devices caught everything. We've been tracking these guys for months." "What?" "Your case helped us build a bigger one against an organized crime ring. Those men, they're going down too." I sagged against Dean, the adrenaline wearing off. The judge called us back an hour later, the courtroom now heavily guarded. "In light of today's events," she announced, "and the overwhelming evidence presented, I'm prepared to rule." My parents stood with their lawyer. Terence was brought back in, no longer laughing. The defendants have not only committed serious financial crimes, but have continued to demonstrate a complete lack of remorse or understanding of their actions. Furthermore, their connection to known criminal elements presents a clear danger. She turned to my parents. 5 years each, with possibility of parole after 3, plus full restitution. Mom collapsed into Dad's arms. "As for Terence Murray, given your prior record and the severity of these crimes, 10 years, no possibility of parole for 7. "You can't do this!" Terence shouted. "Freya, tell them you forgive us." But I didn't. I couldn't. As they were led away, I stayed silent, holding on to Dean and Natasha's hands. Outside, reporters swarmed again, but Detective Rivera's team cleared a path. "It's over," Dean said softly, but looking at my family being led to separate police vehicles, I knew it wasn't over. It was just different now. Permanently, irreversibly different. And somehow, I was okay with that. The last box from my parents' house sat unopened on my new apartment floor. Dean and Natasha lounged on the couch we'd just hauled up 3 flights of stairs, watching me stare at it. "You don't have to open it today," Natasha said. "Yes, I do." I cut through the tape. Inside were photo albums, childhood memorabilia, and a stack of letters tied with ribbon, every birthday card I'd ever received from my parents. The doorbell rang. Detective Rivera stood there with a thick envelope. "The restitution papers came through," she said, stepping inside. "The courts seized your parents' assets and Terrence's accounts. It won't cover everything, but it's a start." I nodded, still staring at the birthday cards. "There's something else." She pulled out another document. "The gambling ring we took down. There's a victims' compensation fund. You qualify for it." "I don't want their money." "Take it," she insisted. "Use it to rebuild. That's the best revenge. Living well." My phone buzzed with a text from the prison chaplain. "Your mother asked to see you again. Should I tell her the same thing?" "Still no," I typed back. Dean moved to sit beside me, picking up one of the photo albums. "Look at this one," he said, pointing to a picture of teenage me at a science fair. "First place ribbon. Were your parents there?" "No, they were at Terrence's baseball game." "Their loss," Natasha said, joining us. "Because that girl grew up to be pretty amazing." Detective Rivera cleared her throat. "The DA wanted me to tell you. Your testimony didn't just help your case. 3 other families have come forward about similar fraud schemes. You started something important." "I didn't want to start anything. I just wanted to be valued," Dean finished. "To be protected instead of being the protector." "Yeah." I picked up a birthday card from when I turned 16. Inside, Mom had written, "You're so strong, sweetheart. We're so lucky to have you." "They were right about one thing," I said, ripping the card in half. "I'm strong." Natasha grabbed a trash bag. "Keep or toss?" I looked at the pile of memories. "Toss. All of it." As we filled the bag, my phone rang. An unknown number. My heart jumped, but Detective Rivera checked it. "It's clear," she said. "Not from the prison or any known associates." It was the bank. "Ms. Murray, your credit restoration claim has been approved. All fraudulent accounts have been removed from your record." After I hung up, Dean pulled me close. "That's worth celebrating." "Actually," I said, "I have a better idea." An hour later, we stood in front of Golden Palace Casino. The same doorman who had watched Terrence gamble away stolen money nodded to us. "You sure about this?" Natasha asked. I walked straight to the high-stakes poker table where I'd confronted Terrence. The dealer recognized me from the news. "What's your game?" he asked. "Not gambling," I said, pulling out my phone. I dialed the prison chaplain's number. "Hello?" "Tell my mother I'll see her. And tell her this, I'm at the casino right now, at Terrence's favorite table. But I'm not playing. I'm walking away. That's what strength really looks like." I hung up and turned to my friends. My real family now. "Let's go home." Outside, the evening air was cool and clean. Detective Rivera's phone buzzed. "They got the last one," she said. "The final member of the gambling ring. It's really over now." "No," I said, watching the casino lights flicker behind us. "It's just beginning." Dean took my hand as we walked away. Natasha linked her arm through mine on the other side. "You know what the best part is?" I said. "For the first time in my life, I don't feel responsible for anyone else's happiness, just my own." "Speaking of happiness," Dean said, pulling me closer, "how about dinner? I know this great little place." "As long as it's not the restaurant your parents own," Natasha teased. "God, no." He laughed. "I learned from Freya. Sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're born with." I stopped walking, looking at these people who had stood by me through everything. Dean with his unwavering support, Natasha with her fierce loyalty, even Detective Rivera with her dedication to justice. "Thank you," I said, "all of you, for helping me find my strength." "You always had it," Natasha said. "You just needed to use it for yourself instead of everyone else." We walked on into the evening, leaving behind the casino, the memories, and the weight of family obligations I'd carried for so long. Ahead lay something better: freedom, truth, and the kind of love that builds you up instead of tearing you down. I was finally, completely free.
The crystal stemwork clinked as my future mother-in-law raised her glass, her perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around the base like talons. "To family," she announced, her eyes sliding past me as if I were invisible. "And to maintaining our standards. My name is Delilah, and I was about to marry into Boston's elite Sanders family." The engagement ring on my finger felt heavy as I lifted my own glass, forcing a smile that wouldn't crack under pressure. 6 years of climbing the corporate ladder had taught me how to keep my composure, even when I wanted to scream. "The wine is excellent, Elisa," I offered, using my most professional voice, the one that had earned me my senior position at Morgan Stanley by age 29. Yes, it's a 82 Bordeaux. I doubt you've had the pleasure before." Elisa's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Alex, darling, tell everyone about the new yacht club membership." My fiancé Alex squeezed my hand under the table. "Actually, Mom, Delilah and I were thinking of spending that money on—" "Nonsense," Elisa cut in. "The connections you'll make there are invaluable. Speaking of which, have you met Charles and Patricia's daughter? She just returned from finishing school in Switzerland." I took another sip of the admittedly excellent wine, remembering my mother's words from this morning. "Kill them with kindness, honey, and remember who you are." "The yacht club sounds wonderful," I said, surprising everyone at the table, including myself. "I'd love to learn sailing. My firm actually closes quite a few deals on the water." Fletcher, Alex's father, perked up. "You know, that's not a bad point. The Thompson deal last summer was sealed during a regatta." "How resourceful," Elisa said, as if resourceful was a dirty word. She turned to their housekeeper. "Marie, we're ready for the main course." As Marie served the perfectly cooked duck breast, I caught snippets of Elisa's whispered conversation with her friend Barbara at the other end of the table. Not exactly wife material. Can't expect Alex to... These ambitious types. The duck suddenly tasted like sawdust in my mouth. Alex was deep in conversation with his father about the family business, oblivious to the subtle warfare being waged across the fine china and crystal. "Delilah," Elisa called out, her voice honey-sweet with poison. "Tell us about your family. What does your father do again?" "My father passed when I was 12, I replied evenly. "My mother raised me on her own, working as a high school teacher. She's the reason I got a full scholarship to Harvard." "How inspiring," Elisa said, in a tone that suggested it was anything but. It must have been quite an adjustment, coming from such humble beginnings. Before I could respond, Alex jumped in. "Mom, Delilah's one of the youngest senior advisors in her firm's history. She—" Yes, very impressive," Elisa waved her hand dismissively. "But running a household requires different skills entirely. Speaking of which, Barbara, how is your daughter's wedding planning coming along?" I excused myself to the powder room, needing a moment to breathe. The marble countertop was cool under my palms as I leaned forward, studying my reflection in the gilt-edged mirror. My mother's features stared back at me, the same determined set of the jaw, the same fire in our eyes. I heard what Elisa said. A voice came from behind me. It was Fletcher, waiting in the hallway as I emerged. "Don't let her get to you. She was the same way with my sister's husband at first. Now they're thick as thieves." "Thank you, Fletcher, but I don't need—" "What you need," he interrupted gently, "is to understand that Elisa's greatest weakness is her pride. She thinks she's protecting the family legacy. Prove her wrong, and you'll earn her respect." I straightened my shoulders, a plan already forming in my mind. "The family business? I've heard there have been some concerns about the quarterly reports." Fletcher's eyebrows rose slightly. You've done your homework. I always do my homework. It's how I got here from those humble beginnings. He smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen all evening. Come to my office tomorrow. There are some numbers I'd like you to look at. Walking back to the dining room, I heard Elisa's voice floating through the open door. Just don't see it lasting. These marriages across social classes never do. I paused, my hand on the doorframe. In that moment, I made a decision. I wouldn't fight Elisa's fire with fire. Instead, I would do what I did best: observe, analyze, and execute. By the time I was done, she would have no choice but to acknowledge my worth. Everything okay? Alex asked as I slid back into my seat. I smiled, genuine this time. Perfect. Actually, Fletcher just invited me to review some business documents tomorrow. I hope you don't mind if I stop by the office. Across the table, Elisa's fork clattered against her plate. The game was on. Fletcher's office smelled of leather and old money, with wood-paneled walls that had witnessed decades of deals and decisions. I settled into one of the visitor chairs, accepting the coffee his assistant had brought in. These are the last 4 quarterly reports, Fletcher said, spreading folders across his mahogany desk. The numbers look fine at first glance, but something feels off. I opened the first folder, my financial advisor instincts kicking in. Mind if I take notes? Please do. Alex speaks highly of your analytical skills. Speaking of Alex, he chose that moment to pop his head in. Dad, Mom's looking for— Oh, hey babe, you're here early. Just getting started, I said, already immersed in the columns of figures. Want to join us? He stepped in, closing the door behind him. Actually, I should warn you, Mom's not thrilled about this. She cornered me this morning, saying we shouldn't involve outsiders in family business. I invited her, Fletcher said firmly. And last I checked, I'm still CEO. I held up a hand, frowning at a particular line item. These operational costs seem inflated compared to industry standards. Who oversees this department? That would be Corey, our CFO, Alex replied, leaning over my shoulder. He's been with us forever. Mom practically considers him family. I made another note. And these vendor contracts? They're all through the same intermediary company? Fletcher's brow furrowed. Yes, Corey consolidated our supply chain last year. Said it would improve efficiency. Mind if I cross-reference these with market rates? I was already pulling up databases on my laptop. The numbers weren't adding up, but I needed more evidence before voicing my suspicions. A sharp knock interrupted us. Elisa burst in, perfectly coiffed even at 9 a.m. Fletcher, darling, I need you to— Oh. Her smile froze when she saw me. I wasn't aware we were having a family meeting. Just reviewing some reports, I said pleasantly, not looking up from my screen. These numbers are fascinating. I'm sure they are, she said coldly. Alex, the country club called. The membership committee is meeting today. Can't make it, Mom. I'm needed here. But, actually, I interrupted, turning my laptop around. You might want to see this, Elisa. These vendor markups are significantly above market rate. Has anyone audited these contracts? Corey handles all that, she dismissed. He's been managing our finances for 15 years. 15 years is a long time to go without fresh eyes, I murmured, pulling up another spreadsheet. Look at this pattern in the operational expenses. Despite herself, Elisa moved closer, peering at the screen. What pattern? These spikes in costs always occur right after major contract renewals, but there's no corresponding increase in output or revenue. Fletcher leaned forward. Are you suggesting— I'm not suggesting anything yet, I said carefully, but I'd like to dig deeper, if you'll let me. Absolutely not, Elisa snapped. Corey is family. I won't have some outsider coming in and— Mom, Alex cut in, his voice sharp. Look at the numbers. A tense silence filled the room. I could practically see the gears turning in Elisa's head as she struggled between her instinct to dismiss me and her business acumen. Fine, she finally said, but I want to be kept informed of everything you find. Of course, I agreed smoothly. I'll need access to the complete financial records for the past 5 years and any correspondence related to these vendor contracts. I'll have IT set you up, Fletcher said, reaching for his phone. Wait, Alex said suddenly. Maybe we should keep this quiet for now. If there really is something wrong. I nodded. Agreed. The fewer people who know I'm looking into this, the better. I still think this is unnecessary, Elisa protested, but I could hear the uncertainty creeping into her voice. Better unnecessary than sorry, I replied, meeting her eyes. Unless you'd prefer I walk away and leave these discrepancies unexplored? She held my gaze for a long moment before turning to Fletcher. Keep me updated. With that, she swept out of the office, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Well, Fletcher said, breaking the silence. That went better than expected. Alex squeezed my shoulder. You okay? I'm fine, I said, already back to scanning the reports. But something's definitely wrong here. These numbers don't lie. What's your next step? Fletcher asked. I closed my laptop, my mind racing with possibilities. I need to talk to your accounting team. Separately, and without Corey knowing. I'll arrange it, Fletcher said. But be careful. If what you're suggesting is true, I know. I gathered my things, trying to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. Trust me, I know exactly what I'm doing. As I left the office, I caught a glimpse of Corey through his open door, laughing on the phone. He waved cheerfully as I passed. I waved back, my smile not reaching my eyes. The game had just gotten a lot more interesting and a lot more dangerous. Holy shit, Serena whispered, staring at the spreadsheets spread across my dining room table. This is like Enron-level sketchy. I poured us both another glass of wine. I know. Look at this transaction from last March. I pointed to a highlighted row. $1 million equipment purchase that doesn't show up anywhere in the inventory. And these shell companies? Serena adjusted her glasses, squinting at my laptop screen. All registered in the Cayman Islands, all established within the last 5 years. Having my best friend as a forensic accountant was proving invaluable. We'd been poring over the Sanders Company records for hours, and the picture getting clearer wasn't pretty. My phone buzzed. Alex. Mom asking questions about why you're accessing old records. Everything okay? Your future mother-in-law is getting antsy, I told Serena, typing a quick response. Just being thorough, have something to show you tomorrow. Serena leaned back, running her hands through her curly hair. Delilah, this is bigger than just cooking the books. These transactions, someone's been systematically siphoning money through fake vendors. And guess who oversees all vendor relationships? Corey, we said in unison. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Fletcher. Corey asked about your investigation. Said Elisa mentioned it. Be careful. Damn it, I muttered. So much for keeping this quiet. Serena gathered her papers into neat piles. You need to move fast. Once people like this know they're being investigated, they start covering their tracks, I finished. Or worse. A knock at my door made us both jump. I checked the peephole and relaxed. It's just Alex. He looked stressed as he entered, loosening his tie. Mom's on the warpath. She cornered me after dinner with Corey, demanding to know what you're finding. Perfect timing, I said, pulling him to the dining room. Serena, show him. For the next 20 minutes, we walked Alex through our discoveries. With each revelation, his face grew darker. That son of a bitch, he finally said, slumping in a chair. Mom treats him like family, and all this time... We need proof that's absolutely bulletproof, Serena said. No offense, but your mother seems like the type who won't believe it unless it's undeniable. None taken, Alex sighed. You should have heard her at dinner. Corey would never, and that girl is just trying to cause trouble. I pulled up another file. What about this? A wire transfer to a private account in Grand Cayman, authorized by Corey, dated 3 weeks ago. Serena leaned in. Can you trace where it went? Working on it, but look at the amount. $250,000. Same as the consulting fee listed in last month's expenses. Alex's phone chimed. His face went pale as he read the message. Corey just called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. Says he has concerns about unauthorized access to sensitive documents. He's making his move, Serena said. Trying to discredit you before you can expose him. I was already gathering the most damning evidence into a separate folder. Then we move now. Alex, call your father. Get him to your house. Serena, can you put together a quick presentation of what we found? On it, she said, fingers flying over her keyboard. Give me 30 minutes. What's your plan? Alex asked. We confront them tonight, all of them, before Corey can spin this his way. An hour later, we were pulling up to the Sanders mansion. Fletcher's car was already there, along with Elisa's Mercedes, and, my stomach tightened, Corey's BMW. Ready? Alex squeezed my hand. I grabbed my laptop and the folder of evidence. As I'll ever be. We found them in the living room. Elisa was pacing. Fletcher looked grim, and Corey was smiling like a cat who'd caught a canary. Ah, Delilah, he said smoothly. I was just explaining to Elisa my concerns about your unauthorized investigation. Funny, I replied, setting up my laptop. I was about to share my concerns about your unauthorized wire transfers. His smile flickered. Elisa stopped pacing. What wire transfers? Mom, sit down, Alex said firmly. You need to see this. For the next 20 minutes, we laid out everything. The fake vendors, the inflated costs, the offshore accounts. With each revelation, Corey's smile grew more strained, while Elisa's face went from skeptical to shocked to furious. This is absurd, Corey finally sputtered. These accusations are backed up by evidence, I cut in, pulling out my final document. Including this email from your private account to your contact at the bank in Grand Cayman, discussing how to structure the transfers to avoid detection. The room went deadly quiet. Then Fletcher spoke, his voice like ice. Corey, I think you should leave. Now. The police will be in touch. As security escorted him out, I caught Elisa staring at me, her expression unreadable. The real test was just beginning. The Sanders family lawyer, Jasper, arrived at dawn. We'd been up all night, combing through files and securing digital evidence. Elisa hadn't said a word to me since Corey's exit, but I could feel her eyes following my every move. The police have been notified, Jasper announced, setting his briefcase on the dining room table. But Corey's already gone. His house is empty. Empty? Fletcher's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. What do you mean, empty? I mean cleaned out. He must have been preparing for this possibility. I trusted him, Elisa whispered, her first words in hours. I let him into our home, our business, our lives. Alex touched her shoulder. Mom, we all did. Not all of us, she snapped, turning to me. You saw it right away, didn't you? Was this your plan all along, to prove how foolish I've been? Elisa, I said carefully. I saw it because it's my job to see these things. That's all. The question now, Jasper interrupted, is how we proceed. The company's reputation. A sharp knock at the door cut him off. 2 police detectives entered, led by the housekeeper. Mrs. Sanders? The female detective showed her badge. I'm Detective Roberts. We need to ask you some questions about Corey Holmes. What followed was 3 hours of detailed questioning. I watched Elisa's composure crack as she realized the full extent of Corey's betrayal. Each transaction we uncovered, each lie we exposed, seemed to age her years. And you discovered all this? Detective Roberts asked me. Initial discrepancies, I corrected. My friend Serena helped confirm the pattern. She's a forensic accountant. We'll need to speak with her, the male detective said, making notes. And get copies of everything you found. Jasper stepped in. I'll handle that. We want full cooperation with the investigation. What about the press? Fletcher asked. This will get out. Get ahead of it, I suggested. Everyone turned to look at me. Release a statement. The family discovered financial irregularities, investigated, and immediately reported them. Show strength and transparency. She's right, Jasper said. I can have a statement ready within the hour. No, Elisa stood up. I'll make the statement. I trusted him. I vouched for him. This is my responsibility. Alex started to protest, but I caught his arm. Let her. The detectives left with copies of our evidence. Jasper retreated to the study to draft documents. Fletcher went to call an emergency board meeting. I need air, Elisa announced suddenly, heading for the garden. After a moment's hesitation, I followed. I found her by the rose bushes she'd proudly shown off at my first visit to the house. She didn't turn around as I approached. "You must be enjoying this," she said quietly. "Why would I enjoy watching my future mother-in-law in pain?" She laughed bitterly. "Because I've been horrible to you. Because I dismissed you, judged you, tried to push you away." "True," I admitted. "But that's not why I did this." "Then why?" She finally turned to face me. "Because it was the right thing to do. Because this company will be part of my family too. Because despite what you think of me, I care about protecting what matters to Alex." "And to me?" Her voice cracked. "What do you think matters to me?" "Legacy," I said simply. "Pride, family, the same things that matter to me." A long silence stretched between us, broken only by the distant sound of traffic. "I have to make a statement to the press," she finally said. "Tell everyone how blind I've been." "No," I corrected. "You have to tell them how strong you are, how you won't let anyone betray this family's trust, how you're going to make this right." She studied me for a long moment. "Help me write it?" Before I could answer, Alex burst into the garden. "Corey just called the office. He's threatening to go to the media with dirt on the family unless we drop the charges." "What dirt?" Elisa demanded. "He wouldn't say, just that he's been keeping records of everything for years." I saw the fear flash across Elisa's face, quickly replaced by anger. "That snake. After everything we did for him." "What do you want to do?" I asked her directly. She straightened her shoulders, and for the first time, I saw the steel that had helped her build this empire. "We fight. We tell the truth before he can spin his lies. Will you help me?" "Of course," I said. Alex looked between us, surprised by this sudden alliance. "Good," Elisa said, already walking back to the house, "because if he wants a war, we'll give him one." "And Delilah?" She paused at the door. "Thank you for protecting our family." "Our family." The words hung in the air as we followed her inside, ready to face whatever storm was coming. The newsroom lights were blinding, but Elisa didn't flinch. We'd spent hours preparing for this moment, rehearsing her statement until every word was perfect. "The Sanders Group has always stood for integrity," she began, her voice steady. "When we discovered financial irregularities, we took immediate action." I watched from the wings with Alex and Fletcher as she delivered the statement we'd crafted. No denials, no excuses, just strength and accountability. My phone buzzed. A text from Serena. "Turn on Channel 7 now." I pulled out my tablet and opened the live stream. There was Corey on a rival network speaking to a reporter. "Alex," I whispered urgently, showing him the screen. His face darkened as Corey's words became clear. "Systematic corruption within the Sanders family," Corey was saying. "Elisa Sanders personally approved numerous questionable transactions." Fletcher saw it too. "That lying bastard." "Wait," I said, noticing something. "Look at the documents he's holding up. Those signatures." Elisa was wrapping up her statement when we hurried her off stage. In the green room, I pulled up the competing broadcast. "He's forged your signatures," I explained, zooming in on the documents. "But he made a mistake. Look at the dates." Elisa leaned closer. "July 15th, 2022, but I was in France," Alex finished. "Mom, you were at my cousin's wedding. We have photos, videos, dozens of witnesses." "Get me Jasper," Elisa snapped, already pulling out her phone. "And call the FBI. This isn't just theft anymore, it's forgery and fraud." The next few hours were a blur of lawyers, federal agents, and reporters. By evening, we were back at the Sanders mansion, watching the news coverage unfold. "Sources say former CFO Corey Holmes may have falsified documents," the anchor was saying when the doorbell rang. Marie showed in Detective Roberts, looking grimmer than before. "Mrs. Sanders, we found something you need to see." She laid out a series of photographs on the coffee table. They showed Corey meeting with known criminals, dating back years. "This goes beyond corporate fraud," she explained. "We believe Mr. Holmes has connections to organized crime. The FBI is taking over the investigation." Elisa sank into her chair. All these years, right under my nose. "Mom, don't," Alex started, but she held up her hand. "No, I need to face this. My pride, my certainty that I could never be fooled. That's what allowed this to happen." "Mrs. Sanders," Detective Roberts said gently, "you're not the first person to be deceived by someone they trusted. But right now, we need to know if you've received any threats." As if on cue, Elisa's phone chimed. Her face went pale as she read the message. "What is it?" Fletcher demanded. "Corey," she whispered. "He says if we don't withdraw our accusations by midnight, he'll release everything. Says we don't know what he's really capable of." "That's it," Detective Roberts said, already on her radio. "We're putting a protective detail on your family." "No," Elisa protested. "I won't be intimidated in my own home." "Actually," I said slowly, an idea forming, "maybe we should let him think he's won." Everyone turned to look at me. "What do you mean?" Alex asked. "He's desperate, making mistakes. If he thinks we're backing down, he might get careless," Detective Roberts finished, nodding. "It could work." "Absolutely not," Fletcher argued. "It's too dangerous." "More dangerous than waiting for him to make good on his threats?" I countered. "We need to end this now." Elisa stood up suddenly. "She's right, and I know exactly how to do it." She turned to Detective Roberts. "Can you get a message to him through back channels? Make him think I'm willing to negotiate?" "Mom, no," Alex protested. "Yes," she said firmly. "I let him into this family. I'll be the one to take him down." The detective made some calls while we worked out the details. By midnight, the trap was set. "The message has been delivered," Detective Roberts confirmed. "He thinks you're willing to meet tomorrow to discuss terms." "And the FBI team is ready?" I asked. She nodded. "They'll be in position before dawn." As the detective left to brief her team, Elisa caught my arm. "Why are you doing this? After how I treated you?" "Because that's what family does," I said simply. "We protect each other." She studied me for a long moment. "I was wrong about you. About a lot of things. Save the apologies for after we catch him," I said, managing a smile. "Right now, we need to prepare for tomorrow." "Tomorrow," she agreed, her voice hardening, "when Corey learns what happens when you threaten the Sanders family." Looking at her then, I finally understood where Alex got his strength, and for the first time, I felt truly proud to be joining this family. The old boathouse creaked in the pre-dawn breeze. I adjusted my earpiece, trying to look casual as I pretended to check my phone. The FBI team had wired both Elisa and me, with agents positioned around the marina. "Target approaching from the south entrance," a voice crackled in my ear. "Remember," I whispered to Elisa, "keep him talking. We need a confession." She nodded, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. We'd chosen this location carefully, public enough to be safe, private enough for Corey to feel comfortable talking. The door opened, and there he was. Corey looked different now, unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes, his usual polished appearance gone. But his smile was the same, dripping with false warmth. "Elisa," he said smoothly. "And Delilah. I should have known you'd be here." "Sit down, Corey," Elisa said coldly. He pulled up a chair, setting his briefcase on the table between us. "I assume you've considered my offer? You mean your threat?" I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. Now, he chided. "I prefer to think of it as mutual protection. I keep certain information private. You drop the charges. Simple." Elisa leaned forward. "What information, Corey? What could you possibly have?" "Oh, come now." He opened his briefcase, pulling out a folder. "Let's start with the Winston deal from 2019. Those signatures you backdated." "I never backdated anything," Elisa snapped. "Really?" He slid a document across the table. "Because I have proof suggesting otherwise, and that's just the beginning." I studied the paper, fighting back a smile. The signature was clearly forged, and not even well. "These are fake," I said flatly. "Prove it." His smile widened. "But while you're trying, the media will have a field day. The great Sanders family, caught in a web of fraud and corruption. Your reputation will be destroyed before you can prove anything. Like you destroyed our trust? Elisa's voice shook with real emotion. I treated you like family. Family? He laughed harshly. You treated me like a servant who got above his station. For 15 years, I watched you live in luxury while I did all the real work. So you decided to steal from us? I decided to take what I deserved. His composure cracked. Do you know how easy it was? Setting up those shell companies, inflating those contracts? You never even looked closely at the numbers. Your precious family pride made you blind. I pressed the button on my phone, stopping the recording. Thank you, Corey. That was exactly what we needed. His face went pale as FBI agents emerged from their hiding spots. You set me up? No, Elisa said, standing as an agent moved to cuff him. You set yourself up. Every theft, every lie, every betrayal, those were your choices. You'll regret this, he snarled. When the media hears... What? I interrupted. Your lies about Elisa? We've already proven the forgeries. Or maybe about your connections to organized crime. The FBI is very interested in those. His face went from pale to ashen. How did you... Like I said, Elisa's voice was steel. You betrayed family. Did you really think we wouldn't fight back? As the agents led him away, I heard him shout, This isn't over! Actually, Detective Roberts said, approaching us, it is. We found his laptop at a storage unit. Everything's there, records of the theft, the forged documents, even emails to his criminal contacts. He's looking at serious time. Elisa sagged slightly, and I caught her arm. Let's get you home. The drive back to the mansion was quiet. Fletcher and Alex were waiting in the driveway, along with Jasper. It's done, I told them as we got out of the car. We got his confession on tape. Alex hugged me tight, then his mother. Are you okay? No, Elisa admitted. But I will be. She turned to Jasper. What's next? The FBI will handle the criminal case, he explained. We need to focus on damage control and recovering the stolen funds. I can help with that, I offered. I know where to look now that we have access to his records. Elisa touched my arm. You've done more than enough. This mess. I created it with my pride and my refusal to see what was right in front of me. It's time I fixed it myself. We'll fix it together, Fletcher said firmly. As a family. Speaking of family, Alex said, taking my hand, maybe now we can focus on happier things, like a wedding? I looked at Elisa, waiting for her reaction. To my surprise, she smiled, a real warm smile that reached her eyes. Yes, she said softly. I think it's time we celebrated adding a new member to our family, if she'll still have us after all this drama. Are you kidding? I laughed. After this, I know exactly what I'm getting into, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The morning sun broke through the clouds, casting long shadows across the driveway. Sometimes, I realized, the strongest families are forged in fire. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's proving yourself worthy of the very people who doubted you. The boardroom buzzed with tension as we prepared for the emergency shareholders meeting. 2 weeks had passed since Corey's arrest, and now came the hard part, facing the consequences. Ready? Alex squeezed my hand under the table. Before I could answer, the doors opened and people began filing in. I recognized most of them, major shareholders, board members, family friends. Their expressions ranged from concern to openly hostile. Elisa stood at the head of the table, every inch the commanding presence she'd always been. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. As if we had a choice, someone muttered from the back. The company's stock has dropped 15%, another voice called out. We deserve answers. Elisa raised her hand for silence. You'll get them. But first, I'd like to introduce someone. She gestured to me. Delilah Jensen, my future daughter-in-law, who uncovered the fraud that threatened this company. All eyes turned to me. I stood, smoothing my skirt. What I found wasn't just fraud. It was a systematic attempt to hollow out this company from within. And where were the controls that should have prevented this? An older board member demanded. Where was the oversight? That responsibility was mine, Elisa said firmly. I trusted the wrong person. But now, we're going to show you exactly how we're making it right. I clicked my laptop and the presentation Serena and I had prepared filled the screen behind us. The FBI has already frozen most of the stolen assets. We've traced approximately 80% of the funds. And the other 20%, someone asked? Is why I'm here, a new voice said. Jasper walked in, carrying a stack of documents. We've filed civil suits against all the shell companies involved. The recovery process is already underway. For the next hour, we laid out our recovery plan in detail. With each slide, each explanation, I could feel the mood in the room shifting from anger to cautious optimism. But the real question, Elisa continued, is how we prevent this from ever happening again, which is why I'm proposing a new oversight committee. Murmurs filled the room as she outlined the structure: independent auditors, regular reviews, transparent reporting. And who will lead this committee? A shareholder asked. I will, I said, standing again. With the board's approval, of course. The room erupted in discussion. I caught fragments of conversations. But she's not even family yet. Found the fraud in the first place. Fresh perspective might be exactly... Fletcher stood up. I moved to vote on the proposal. Seconded, Alex called out. The next few minutes were tense as the votes were counted. I felt Elisa's hand on my shoulder, surprising me with its warmth. The motion passes, Jasper announced, with 78% in favor. The relief in the room was palpable. As people began to file out, many stopped to shake my hand or offer congratulations. Well done, Fletcher said, clapping me on the back. Both of you. Elisa was speaking with the last few board members when her assistant rushed in, looking pale. Ma'am, you need to see this. Corey's wife is on the news. We crowded around a tablet, watching the live broadcast. Margaret, Corey's wife of 20 years, was speaking through tears. The Sanders family destroyed my husband. Their greed, their manipulation. Turn it off, Elisa said sharply. No, I countered. We need to hear this. They're trying to pin everything on him, but the truth will come out. Alex swore under his breath. She's trying to spin it. Let her try, I said, already pulling out my phone. Jasper, release the evidence packets to the media. All of them. That's everything we have, he warned. Exactly. Total transparency. Let the public see the truth. Elisa nodded slowly. Do it. Within hours, the story had shifted. News channels were running segments showing the evidence trail, the forged documents, the offshore accounts. Margaret's accusations were buried under an avalanche of facts. I never thought I'd say this, Elisa said as we watched the coverage from her office. But I'm grateful you didn't listen to me when I tried to push you away. Funny how things work out, I replied, accepting the glass of whiskey she offered. You know, she said, settling into her chair, I always thought protecting this family meant keeping outsiders at bay. I never considered that sometimes protection comes from letting the right people in. A knock at the door interrupted us. Alex entered, grinning. Just got word from the FBI. They found the rest of the money. All of it. Really? Elisa brightened. Really. And there's more. Corey's agreed to plead guilty. No trial, no more media circus. I raised my glass. To justice? To family, Elisa corrected, touching her glass to mine. And to the daughter-in-law who taught me what that really means. Looking at her then, I realized we'd both won something more valuable than any corporate victory. We'd found understanding, respect, and maybe even love. The sun was setting over Boston, casting long shadows through the office windows, and for the first time since this all began, I felt completely at peace. Something old, something new, my mother said, adjusting my veil in the bridal suite. Something borrowed, something blue. The old is Grandma's pearls, Serena counted off on her fingers. The new is the dress. The blue is the sapphire bracelet from Alex. And the borrowed? I asked, smoothing my dress. The door opened and Elisa stepped in, holding a small velvet box. This, if you'll accept it. Inside was a delicate diamond hair clip that caught the light like captured stars. It was my mother's, she explained. She wore it at my wedding, and I wore it at mine. My throat tightened as she carefully pinned it into my hair. Through the mirror, I could see my mother watching with tears in her eyes. "Perfect," Elisa said softly. "Now you truly look like a Sanders woman." A knock at the door interrupted the moment. Fletcher poked his head in. "They're ready for you, and there's something you should see first." We followed him to a window overlooking the church entrance. A small group of reporters had gathered, held back by security. "Is that—" I squinted at a familiar face. "Margaret," Elisa confirmed grimly. "Corey's wife. Still trying to cause trouble, even today." I turned to face my future mother-in-law. "What do you want to do?" She straightened my veil, a determined glint in her eye. "We're going to walk out there with our heads high. Let them see what real family loyalty looks like." The ceremony passed in a blur of emotions and promises. When Alex kissed me, the church erupted in applause. But the real test waited outside. As we emerged into the sunlight, Margaret stepped forward, a reporter at her side. "Mrs. Sanders," the reporter called out, "any comment on the allegations that your family—" "Actually," I interrupted, "I have a comment." Alex squeezed my hand as I continued. "Today isn't about the past. It's about family, all kinds of family, the ones we're born into and the ones we choose." "But the accusations," Margaret started. "Are over," Elisa cut in, stepping to my side. "Just like your husband's attempts to destroy what we've built. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a celebration to attend." At the reception, Fletcher clinked his glass for attention. "A toast to the newest member of our family. Delilah, when you first came into our lives, we thought we were gaining a daughter. Instead, we gained something far more valuable, a protector, a truth-teller, and a reminder that real strength isn't about keeping people out, but letting the right ones in." "Hear, hear," the crowd raised their glasses. Later, during the father-daughter dance, my mom appeared at my shoulder. "May I cut in?" As we swayed to the music, she whispered, "Remember when you called me, terrified about meeting his family? Look at you now." I glanced across the room where Elisa was showing my aunt photos on her phone, both of them laughing. "Things change. People change," my mother corrected, "when they're brave enough to let themselves." The evening wound down, and Alex and I prepared to leave for our honeymoon. But first, Elisa pulled me aside. "I have something for you," she said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a contract making me full partner in the family business, backdated to the day I exposed Corey's fraud. "I don't understand," I said. "The oversight committee position was just the beginning. You proved yourself not just capable, but essential. The board voted unanimously." "Even you?" I couldn't help asking. She smiled, the warm, genuine smile that had become increasingly familiar. "Especially me. You taught me something valuable, Delilah. True power isn't about control, it's about trust." "Thank you," I whispered, hugging her impulsively. "No," she said firmly. "Thank you. For saving our company, our family name, and—" she paused. "For showing me I could be wrong about someone in the best possible way." As Alex and I drove away, rice still falling from our clothes, I thought about power, pride, and the unexpected ways life teaches us lessons. I'd come into this family wanting revenge against a woman who judged me, but I'd found something better: understanding, respect, and a place where I truly belonged. "Happy?" Alex asked, taking my hand. Through the rearview mirror, I could see our families waving goodbye. My mother and Elisa standing side by side, Fletcher with his arm around them both, Serena throwing one last handful of rice. "More than happy," I replied. "I'm home." The city lights of Boston twinkled around us as we drove toward our future, and I realized that sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't revenge at all. It's proving that love, truth, and family are stronger than any prejudice or pride. And sometimes the greatest victory isn't in defeating your enemies, but in turning them into family.
"You should really try the keto diet, Wendy. It worked wonders for my friend Sarah." Denise's sugary sweet voice carried across the dinner table like poison wrapped in honey. I gripped my fork tighter, the metal cold against my palm, and forced myself to keep eating my mother's lasagna. "My name is Wendy, and I'm a successful tech executive who just landed a major deal worth millions. But sitting here at my parents' weekly family dinner, none of that matters. I'm just the fat sister who can't get her life together. At least according to my brother's wife. I'm actually quite happy with my current lifestyle, I replied, keeping my voice steady. The words tasted bitter, rehearsed from countless similar conversations. Oh, come on, Denise pressed, tossing her perfectly styled blonde hair. You can't possibly be happy looking like that. She gestured vaguely at me with her fork, barely touching her own food. The table fell silent. My brother Josh suddenly became very interested in his water glass. My younger sister Paris shot me a sympathetic look, while Mom and Dad exchanged glances that screamed discomfort. I just closed a $4.2 million deal today, I said, surprising myself with the words. My team's expanding and we're looking at opening a new office in Seattle. That's wonderful, honey. Mom jumped in, clearly relieved for the change of subject. Denise's smile tightened. Physical fitness is just as important as career success. Don't you agree, Josh? My brother choked on his water. I think everyone has different priorities. Speaking of priorities, Paris interjected, did anyone watch the new episode of... You know? Denise cut her off, leaning forward. There's this amazing gym near your office, Wendy. I could get you a guest pass. They have excellent trainers who specialize in cases like yours. The lasagna turned to ash in my mouth. I'd lost count of how many times Denise had tried to help me this way, each suggestion feeling like a tiny needle under my skin. I appreciate the offer, I said, standing up. But I should get going. Early meeting tomorrow. Already? Mom looked concerned. But we haven't had dessert. Oh, that's probably for the best, Denise chirped. Right, Wendy? Something snapped inside me. 5 years of these digs, these little comments, these perfectly aimed arrows. I turned to face her directly. You know what, Denise? I run a department of 30 people. I've doubled our revenue in 2 years. My team would walk through fire for me. But somehow none of that matters because I don't fit your idea of what success looks like. The room froze. Denise's perfect smile faltered for a split second. I'm just trying to help, she said softly, playing the victim. Health is wealth, after all. Wendy, Josh started, but I cut him off. No, it's fine. I get it. I'm the fat sister who needs saving. The one who makes everyone uncomfortable because she doesn't fit the mold. Well, guess what? I'm done. Nobody thinks that, Paris protested. Really? I looked around the table. Then why does nobody ever say anything when she makes these comments? Why do you all just sit there? The silence that followed was deafening. I think we're all just a bit tired. Mom attempted to mediate. Maybe we should... I have to go, I said, grabbing my purse. Thanks for dinner, Mom. As I walked to my car, I heard footsteps behind me. It was Paris. Wait, she called out. You're right. We should have said something. I turned to face her, feeling the cool evening air on my heated cheeks. It's not your fault. It's mine for letting it go on this long. What are you going to do? I thought about Eva, my old colleague who'd been trying to get me to join her wellness program. Not for weight loss, but for strength. Mental and physical. I'd always brushed her off, too afraid to try. I'm going to change things, I said, surprising myself with the conviction in my voice. Not for Denise. For me. Paris hugged me tight. Show her what you're made of, sis. As I drove home, Denise's words echoed in my head, but for the first time, they didn't sting. Instead, they fueled something else. Determination. I pulled into my driveway, grabbed my phone, and pulled up Eva's number. The phone rang twice before she answered. Wendy, everything okay? Remember that program you mentioned? The one about building strength from the inside out? Of course, Eva replied, sounding intrigued. I took a deep breath. I'm in. And I want to start tomorrow. Really? What changed your mind? I thought about Denise's smirk, about Josh's silence, about years of swallowed pride and forced smiles. Let's just say I'm ready to show everyone what real strength looks like. Eva's office wasn't what I expected. Instead of the typical gym setup with mirrors and equipment, it looked more like a cozy living room. Potted plants dotted the corners, and a comfortable couch invited me to sit. "You look exactly the same," Eva said, pulling me into a warm hug. Her familiar jasmine perfume brought back memories of late nights at our old tech startup, sharing dreams and pizza. "You mean still fat?" I tried to joke, but it came out bitter. Eva's dark eyes narrowed. "No, I mean still carrying yourself like you're apologizing for existing. Sit. We need to talk." I sank into the couch while Eva perched on her desk. "So, what finally brought you here?" "My sister-in-law," I started, then found myself spilling everything about the family dinner. Eva listened without interrupting, her expression growing increasingly concerned. "Remember Marcus from our coding team?" she asked when I finished. "The guy who had panic attacks before every presentation?" "The same one. Now he's a keynote speaker at tech conferences." Eva leaned forward. "Want to know what changed?" "He finally learned to code properly. He learned that strength isn't about being perfect. It's about being resilient." Eva stood up and walked to a whiteboard. "You're looking at this all wrong, Wendy. You're seeing it as a weight issue when it's really a power issue." I shifted uncomfortably. "What do you mean?" "This Denise person, she's not attacking your body. She's attacking your power, and you're letting her." "I'm not letting her do anything," I protested. "Really?" Eva raised an eyebrow. "Tell me about your last team meeting." "What does that have to do with anything?" "Humor me." I thought back to yesterday's meeting. We were discussing the Seattle expansion. I suggested a new approach to— "No," Eva interrupted. "Tell me how you sat, how you spoke. Did you make eye contact?" The question caught me off guard. I guess I mostly looked at my notes. Despite being the most qualified person in the room? Eva shook her head. "That's what I mean. You're letting people diminish your power, not just Denise." My phone buzzed. A text from Josh. "Denise feels terrible about dinner. Can we talk?" I showed Eva the message. "Don't respond," she said immediately. "Not until you're stronger." "I'm not weak," I snapped. "No, you're not. But you're not using your strength either." Eva grabbed her keys. "Come on, I want to show you something." We drove to a small community center where a group of women were gathering for what looked like a class. "What is this?" I asked as we walked in. "My Tuesday group. Watch." The women were all shapes and sizes, some in business attire, others in workout clothes. Eva stepped to the front of the room. "Ladies, today we have a guest. This is my friend Wendy, and she's about to learn what we already know. That power isn't about size, it's about presence." For the next hour, I watched as these women transformed. They practiced speaking, standing, even just entering a room. It wasn't about physical exercise. It was about owning space. "Your homework," Eva announced at the end, "is to take up space unapologetically, whether it's on the subway, in a meeting, or at your family dinner table." On the drive back, I was quiet, processing what I'd seen. "You think I'm crazy?" Eva said, grinning. "No, I think I'm crazy for not calling you sooner." I paused. "But I don't see how this helps me deal with Denise." "Because you're still thinking about dealing with Denise. You need to focus on building yourself up first." Eva pulled into her office parking lot. 3 months. "What?" "Give me 3 months. Come to my Tuesday groups. Work with me one-on-one. No diets, no extreme workouts, just building your power. After that, if you still want to deal with Denise, we'll talk strategy." Another text buzzed. "Paris this time. Mom's planning a family sports day in 3 months. Denise's idea. You should come." I showed Eva the message, watching her face light up. "Now that's what I call perfect timing," she said. "Are you in?" I thought about Denise's smirk at dinner, about Josh's avoiding eyes, about all the times I'd made myself small to make others comfortable. 3 months, I agreed. "But I have conditions." "Name them." "No talk about weight loss, no scales, no before and after photos." Eva's smile widened. Deal. And I have one condition too. What's that? You have to promise to show up for yourself, not for Denise. I took a deep breath, thinking about the women in the community center, about how they owned their space without apology. I promise. Good. Eva handed me a notebook. Your first assignment is to write down every time you make yourself small this week. Every time you apologize for nothing. Every time you let someone talk over you. Every time you shrink to make others comfortable. As I drove home, my phone buzzed again with another text from Josh. This time, I didn't even look at it. For the first time in years, I felt something new growing inside me. Not anger, not revenge, but something stronger. Hope. Stand like you own the room, Eva commanded, adjusting my posture in front of the mirror. Shoulders back, chin up, now walk. 2 weeks into our sessions, and I was learning things I'd never considered before. Like how the way you enter a room can change its entire dynamic. Better, Eva nodded as I strode across her office. But you're still apologizing with your eyes. I don't even know what that means. I laughed, but my phone's buzz interrupted us. Josh again. He'd been calling daily since the dinner incident. Eva raised an eyebrow. Still avoiding him? Not avoiding, just prioritizing myself for once. Good. Now about tomorrow's presentation. The door burst open, cutting her off. There stood Denise in perfect workout gear, her face a mask of fake concern. Wendy, I thought it was you. I teach yoga next door and saw your car. Her eyes swept over Eva's office, taking in the lack of traditional gym equipment. What is this place? My heart raced, but Eva's training kicked in. Shoulders back, chin up, own the space. Executive coaching, I said firmly. Eva's helping me enhance my leadership presence. Denise's perfect smile flickered. Oh, I thought... Well, when I saw you at a wellness center, you thought I was finally taking your weight loss advice? I finished for her, maintaining eye contact. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Actually, Eva stepped in, her voice professional. Wendy's preparing for a major presentation tomorrow. We're working on commanding presence and authoritative speaking techniques, things that make a real impact in the corporate world. Denise's smile turned brittle. How interesting. Josh has been trying to reach you, you know. He's worried. I've been busy. Major project launch coming up. Too busy for family? Denise pressed. Too busy for drama, I corrected, surprising myself with my directness. Eva cleared her throat. Wendy, we should review your presentation points. Right, I nodded, turning back to Denise. It was nice seeing you. I'll tell Josh I saw you, Denise said, her tone suggesting a threat. He'll be relieved you're getting help. After she left, I collapsed onto Eva's couch. That was fantastic, Eva exclaimed. Did you see how you held your ground? 3 weeks ago, you would have made excuses or let her diminish you. She'll tell everyone I'm getting therapy or something. So what? Own it. Yes, I'm working with the executive coach to enhance my already successful career. Make it a power move. My phone buzzed again. Paris this time. Heads up, Denise is spreading weird rumors about you getting help. Want me to shut it down? No, I texted back. I've got this. The next day, I walked into the conference room for my presentation wearing my power suit and the presence Eva had helped me cultivate. My team sat straighter when I entered. Even my boss, Lionel, seemed to notice something different. Before we begin, I announced, I'd like to share something personal. The room quieted. I've recently started working with an executive coach to enhance my leadership skills. Because true leaders never stop growing. Lionel nodded approvingly. The presentation went perfectly, and afterward he called me into his office. That was impressive, he said. Not just the presentation, the way you carried yourself. You're different lately. Thank you, I'm working on it. Keep working, the Seattle office will need strong leadership. I blinked. Are you saying, we'll talk details next week? He smiled. Whatever you're doing, it's working. That evening, I finally answered Josh's call. Where have you been? he demanded. Denise said she saw you at some wellness center getting therapy or something? Executive coaching, I corrected. And yes, I'm working on my professional development. How are you, Josh? What? Look, Denise feels terrible about dinner. She wants to make it right. I'm sure she does. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not interested in making her feel better about her behavior. The words came easily now. If she wants to apologize, she can do it directly. No triangulation. When did you get so different? When I stopped accepting unacceptable behavior. I paused. I hear there's a family sports day coming up? Yeah, Denise is organizing it. You're coming? Wouldn't miss it. I smiled, thinking of Eva's training. Tell Denise I'm really looking forward to it. After hanging up, I texted Eva. Just stood up to both my brother and my boss in the same day, in completely different ways. Her response came quickly. Perfect. Now, about those sports day plans? I grinned, feeling stronger than ever. Denise wanted a show of strength. She was going to get one. Just not the kind she expected. My phone buzzed one more time. A message from Paris. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You sound different. Stronger. I am, I texted back. And I'm just getting started. And now let's welcome our next speaker, Wendy, who's leading our corporate wellness initiative. The applause echoed through the community center as I took the stage. 6 weeks into Eva's program, and here I was, speaking at a charity event about mental health in the workplace. The irony wasn't lost on me. 3 years ago, I began, my voice steady and strong. I sat in my office after closing a major deal, feeling like an imposter. Success didn't make me feel powerful. It made me feel more vulnerable to criticism. From the corner of my eye, I spotted Denise slipping into the back of the room. Paris must have told her about the event. Perfect. But true strength isn't about looking powerful, I continued. It's about being powerful. It's about standing tall when others try to make you small. It's about lifting others up instead of tearing them down. The audience leaned forward, engaged. Even Denise stood still, her usual smirk nowhere to be seen. That's why our new corporate wellness program focuses on mental resilience alongside physical health. Because you can't build one without the other. After the speech, people crowded around sharing their stories. A young woman grabbed my hand, tears in her eyes. I thought I was the only one, she whispered. Thank you for speaking up. Eva appeared at my side, beaming. Now that's what I call taking up space. Wendy? Denise's voice cut through the crowd. She looked different, smaller somehow, less certain. Can we talk? Eva squeezed my arm and stepped away, leaving us alone. That was unexpected, Denise said, fidgeting with her designer handbag. I didn't know you were involved in this kind of work. There's a lot you don't know about me, Denise. Look, about the family dinner. Save it, I interrupted, keeping my voice low but firm. I'm not interested in apologies that come from seeing me succeed. Where was this conversation when you thought I was failing? Her face flushed. I was trying to help. No, you were trying to feel superior. There's a difference. I gathered my papers from the podium. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have people waiting. Josh misses you, she blurted out. He says you've changed. I haven't changed, Denise. I've just stopped shrinking. As I turned to leave, she grabbed my arm. Wait, there's something you should know. What's that? The family sports day. I organized it because I thought... She swallowed hard. I thought it would be another chance to prove I'm better than you. The admission hung between us. For the first time, I saw past Denise's perfect exterior to something fragile underneath. Why are you telling me this? Because watching you up there, owning that stage, I realized I've been competing with the wrong person. I've been so focused on proving my worth by diminishing yours. Denise. No, let me finish. My sister was always the successful one, the pretty one. I thought marrying into your family would finally make me the superior sister somewhere. But I've been horrible to you, and today, Today I saw what real strength looks like. I studied her face, searching for the usual manipulation, but found only raw honesty. The sports day is still happening, she continued. But maybe it could be about something else. Something better. Before I could respond, my boss Lionel approached. Wendy, the board members loved your presentation. They want to implement your wellness program in all our offices, including Seattle. Seattle? Denise asked. Yes, I replied, standing taller. I'm being promoted to run the new regional office. Denise's eyes widened. You're moving? No, I'll be managing it remotely, building a virtual team, innovation and leadership, just like I talked about today. Lionel nodded approvingly. The future of corporate leadership. Wendy's pioneering our new approach. After he left, Denise stood quietly for a moment. I really messed up, didn't I? Yes, I said simply. You did. Can we start over? I thought about Eva's lessons in power and grace. No, we can't start over. But we can start from here, differently. How? First, by you understanding that I'm not your competition. I never was. And second, I smiled, thinking of the sports day ahead, by showing everyone what real strength looks like. Together. Denise's phone buzzed, Josh's face appearing on the screen. She hesitated before declining the call. He needs to understand too, she said quietly. About how he let this happen. One step at a time, I replied. The sports day is in 6 weeks. Let's show them all what we can do when we stop fighting each other and start fighting for something better. As Denise walked away, Eva returned to my side. Well, that was unexpected. Good unexpected or bad unexpected? That depends. Eva grinned. Are you ready to turn this revenge story into something more powerful? I watched Denise's retreating figure, thinking about transformation and redemption. I'm ready for whatever comes next. You're doing what? Mom nearly dropped her casserole dish as I helped her prepare for another family dinner. 2 weeks had passed since the charity event, and I'd finally agreed to return to these Sunday gatherings. Training with Denise, I repeated, arranging silverware on the table, twice a week. The same Denise who... Mom trailed off, clearly remembering the last dinner disaster. Yes, that Denise. People can change, Mom. Paris burst through the kitchen door, grinning. They're here, and you won't believe what's happening in the driveway. I walked to the window. Outside, Josh was staring open-mouthed as Denise and I's new project unfolded. She was helping Eva unload equipment from her car. Is that a meditation cushion? Mom asked, peering over my shoulder. And yoga mats, I confirmed. We're doing a demonstration after dinner. A demonstration of what exactly? Different kinds of strength. The front door opened and Josh's voice carried through the house. Would someone please explain what's going on? Denise hasn't stopped talking about Wendy all week, and now this? I walked into the living room, shoulders back, chin up, just as Eva had taught me. Josh did a double take. Whether at my posture or my presence, I wasn't sure. Hey, brother, I said calmly. We have a lot to talk about. Denise entered behind him, carrying a yoga mat. Should we set up in the backyard? The lighting's better there. Perfect, I agreed. Josh looked between us like we were speaking alien language. Okay, what parallel universe did I wake up in? One where your wife and sister finally figured out they're stronger as allies than enemies. Paris chimed in, helping Eva with the remaining equipment. During dinner, the tension was different than before. Not gone, but transformed. Josh kept glancing between Denise and me, trying to decode our new dynamic. So, Dad ventured, this sports day, it's still happening? Absolutely, Denise replied. But we've modified the concept. Instead of competition, it's about demonstration. Different types of strength, different ways of leading. Speaking of which, I added, standing up. Who's ready for a little preview? We moved to the backyard where Eva had set up a small area with mats and cushions. The family gathered around, curious and slightly skeptical. Leadership, I began. isn't about dominating others. It's about inspiring them. I nodded to Denise, who stepped forward. For years, she said, her voice shaking slightly, I thought being strong meant making others feel weak. I was wrong. Josh shifted uncomfortably. Denise, you don't have to. Yes, I do. She cut him off. Because you need to hear this too, Josh. You watched me tear your sister down and you said nothing. The backyard fell silent. Even the birds seemed to pause. I enabled it, Josh admitted quietly. I was afraid of losing you if I spoke up. That's not love, Denise replied. That's fear. And I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Ava stepped forward. Shall we show them what we've been working on? For the next 30 minutes, we demonstrated exercises in partner trust, balance, and mutual support. Not just physical exercises, but emotional ones too. The family watched as Denise and I moved through sequences that required complete cooperation. Now, Ava addressed the family. Who wants to try? To everyone's surprise, Mom stood up first. I think it's time I learned some new ways of being strong too. One by one, family members joined us on the mats. Even Josh, after some coaxing, participated in a trust fall exercise with both Denise and me. Later, as we were packing up, Josh pulled me aside. I don't understand, he said. How did this happen? We both realized we were fighting the wrong battle, I explained. Denise needed to prove she was worthy of being part of this family, and I needed to prove I was worthy of my success. We were both wrong. And the sports day? Will be a demonstration of real strength. All kinds of strength. I paused. You should join us in training. I wouldn't know where to start. That's exactly where everyone starts, Josh, with not knowing. As the family helped clean up, I caught Denise looking at her reflection in the patio door. She wasn't checking her appearance as she usually did. She was practicing her power pose. Ready for next week's corporate wellness presentation? I asked her. She nodded. Ready to show them what real transformation looks like. Mom appeared beside us, holding the meditation cushion. Can I keep this? I think I need to learn some new things too. I hugged her, feeling the years of unspoken tensions beginning to dissolve. We all do, Mom. We all do. As Ava drove away, she gave me a thumbs up through the window. Phase 1 of our plan was complete. The family was on board. Now came the harder part. Preparing for a sports day that would redefine what victory really means. Again, Ava's voice echoed through the community center. This time, focus on the transition. Denise and I moved through our sequence, a combination of yoga poses and partner exercises we'd created for the sports day demonstration. 2 weeks to go, and we were training daily. Better, Ava called out. But Denise, you're still trying to control everything. Trust Wendy's strength. Sorry, Denise muttered, her face flushed. Old habits. Don't apologize, I said, helping her up. Just breathe and try again. Josh walked in, carrying water bottles for everyone. He'd been joining our sessions regularly now, slowly understanding the new dynamic between his wife and sister. Mom's outside, he announced. She's nervous about trying the group sequence. I'll talk to her, Denise offered, surprising us all. She jogged outside, leaving Josh and me alone. She's different, Josh said quietly. You both are. Good different? Real different. He handed me a water bottle. I've been thinking about that dinner. About all the dinners, really. I should have... Stop, I interrupted. We're not doing guilt. We're doing growth. Ava clapped her hands. Break's over. Josh, you're up. Let's work on that trust fall sequence. Mom entered with Denise, looking apprehensive but determined. I brought snacks, she announced, holding up a bag. And I've been practicing those breathing exercises. Show us, Ava encouraged. For the next hour, we worked as a family. Mom surprised everyone with her natural grace in the slower movements. Josh finally managed to let go of his need to control every fall. And Denise showed glimpses of a person I'd never known existed. During a water break, I overheard her on the phone. "No, Sarah, I won't be teaching the morning yoga class anymore because I'm working on something more important. No, it's not about weight loss. Look, I have to go." She caught me listening and shrugged. "Some people won't understand what we're doing here. Are you okay with that?" "I'm learning to be." She twisted her water bottle cap. "My sister called yesterday. First time in months." "The successful one?" "Yeah, I told her about our project, about redefining strength." She laughed. And for the first time, her laugh didn't destroy me. Denise smiled. "Progress, right?" Ava called us back to practice. We were working on the finale sequence when Paris burst through the door. "Emergency," she announced. "Dad found the sports day program draft." My stomach dropped. We'd been keeping the details secret, wanting to surprise everyone with how we'd transformed the event from competition to collaboration. "What did he say?" Josh asked. "He's confused. Says it's not really a sports day without winners and losers." Paris handed me her phone. "He's texting everyone about it." I read the message thread, feeling my old insecurities trying to surface. But Eva's training kicked in. Shoulders back, chin up, own your space. "Good," I said firmly. "Let's show him exactly what we mean by winning." We worked later than usual that night, perfecting every movement. Mom stayed the whole time, her determination matching ours. Even Josh mastered sequences he'd struggled with for weeks. As we were packing up, Denise pulled me aside. "There's something I haven't told you." "What is it?" "I invited my sister to the sports day." She rushed on before I could respond. I need her to understand what I've learned from you." "From us," I corrected. "We learned together." Eva joined us, holding her clipboard. "Ladies, we have 10 days left. The invitations have gone out, the program is set, and thanks to Paris's social media skills, we're expecting quite a crowd." "How many?" I asked, suddenly nervous. "About 100 people." Eva grinned at our shocked expressions. "Turns out there's a lot of interest in redefining strength and family dynamics." Mom appeared with her yoga mat rolled under her arm. "I invited my book club too. Hope that's okay." I looked around the room. At Josh practicing his breathing techniques, at Paris filming segments for social media, at Mom proudly showing off her improved balance, at Denise teaching Eva a new stretch sequence. "It's more than okay," I said. "It's perfect." Later that night, I received a text from Dad. "This sports day program, it's different." I replied, "Yes, it is. Come to tomorrow's practice. See for yourself." His response came quickly. "What time?" I smiled, sending him the details. The last piece was falling into place. In 10 days, we would show everyone that true strength isn't about domination. It's about transformation. Eva's final text of the night read, "Remember where you started. Look where you are. Imagine where you're going." I looked in the mirror, seeing not just my reflection, but the echo of every woman who'd ever been told she wasn't enough. In 10 days, we would change that story. Together. The community center buzzed with energy. Over 100 people filled the converted gymnasium, including my entire extended family, Denise's sister Amanda, Mom's book club, and even my entire tech team. Paris's social media campaign had worked better than expected. "Breathe," Ava reminded me as we peeked through the curtain. "You've got this." Denise appeared beside us, wearing the same style workout gear as mine. No more designer labels or perfect makeup. "My sister's in the front row," she whispered, looking judgmental as ever. "Perfect place to watch her worldview shift," I replied, squeezing her hand. The lights dimmed and Eva stepped out to address the crowd. "Welcome to Redefining Strength, a demonstration of power that goes beyond the physical." She paused, scanning the audience. 3 months ago, 2 women came to me with a story about family, rivalry, and pain. Today, they'll show you how that story transformed into something extraordinary. That was our cue. Denise and I walked out together, the spotlight catching us as we took our positions. The routine we'd practiced hundreds of times began flowing naturally. Movements that required complete trust, balance, and mutual support. From the corner of my eye, I caught Amanda's shocked expression as her sister, usually so focused on perfect appearances, moved with authentic power instead of practiced precision. The sequence built gradually, incorporating Josh, then Mom, then Dad, each demonstrating different aspects of strength. Dad, who'd been skeptical at first, now moved with surprising grace through the trust exercises. Then came the moment we'd prepared for. I stepped forward, Denise beside me. 3 months ago, I began, my voice carrying clearly through the room. I sat at a family dinner feeling worthless because I didn't fit someone else's definition of success. And I was that someone, Denise added, trying to feel powerful by making others feel small. We moved through our next sequence as we spoke, demonstrating physical harmony while sharing emotional truth. But true strength, I continued, executing a balanced pose with Denise, isn't about domination. It's about transformation, Denise finished, supporting my weight as we'd practiced countless times. The audience was silent, captivated. Even Amanda had dropped her skeptical expression. We transitioned into the group demonstration, where Ava had arranged for volunteers from the audience to join us. Mom's entire book club participated, along with several of my tech team members. Leadership isn't about being perfect, I announced, guiding a nervous volunteer through a simple sequence. It's about being authentic. And family isn't about competition, Denise added, working with another group. It's about elevation. The energy in the room shifted as more people joined in, learning simple movements that demonstrated connection rather than competition. Even Amanda, after some coaxing from Mom, participated in a basic partner exercise. The finale brought everyone together in a series of connected movements, showing how individual strength contributes to collective power. As the last sequence ended, the room erupted in applause. Ava stepped forward again. This is just the beginning. We're launching weekly sessions here at the community center, teaching these principles to anyone who wants to learn. People crowded around afterward, sharing their own stories of family tension and transformation. Amanda approached Denise, her usual poise slightly shaken. I don't know what to say, she admitted. This isn't what I expected. That's kind of the point, Denise replied, standing tall. I'm not trying to be you anymore. I'm learning to be me. The sisters hugged, awkwardly at first, then with genuine emotion. My tech team surrounded me, led by Lionel. Now this, he said, is the kind of innovative leadership we need in Seattle. When can you start? I already have, I replied, watching as Mom taught her book club members one of our breathing exercises. Leadership happens everywhere, not just in offices. Josh appeared with Dad, both still in their workout gear. So, Dad said, this is what you meant by different kinds of strength. Did we prove our point? I asked. He hugged me, then Denise. You proved something better. You proved that family can change. Paris bounced over, phone in hand. The video's already going viral. People are asking about training programs, workshops, everything. Ava joined us, beaming. Ready for phase 2? Phase 2? Josh asked. The real work, Denise explained. Taking this message beyond today. Teaching others what we learned. I looked around the room, at Mom sharing techniques with her friends, at Dad proudly explaining our program to relatives, at Josh finally standing comfortable in his own skin, at Denise and Amanda beginning to build a new kind of sisterhood. We're ready, I said. Eva smiled. Then let's show them what real power looks like. As people began filing out, carrying new knowledge and perspective with them, I caught Denise's eye across the room. We shared a knowing look. This wasn't the end of our story. It was just the beginning of a better one. Ready for this? Eva asked as we stood outside my parents' house for another Sunday dinner. The first one since the sports day demonstration. Different kind of strength needed today, I replied, adjusting my blazer. I'd just flown back from Seattle after finalizing plans for the new office. Denise's car pulled up, and she stepped out wearing business casual instead of her usual designer outfit. Sorry I'm late. The community center class ran over. "How's the new program going?" I asked as we walked to the door. "Full registration. Turns out a lot of people want to learn about real strength." She smiled. "Amanda's even talking about starting a similar program in her city." Mom opened the door before we could knock, pulling us into a group hug. The house smelled of lasagna. The same dish from that fateful dinner months ago. "Perfect timing," she said. "Paris is setting up for the announcement." We entered to find the dining room transformed. Instead of the usual formal setup, the table had been pushed to one side, creating an open space with cushions arranged in a circle. Dad and Josh were already seated, looking both amused and comfortable with the change. "Look what arrived." Paris bounded in, holding up a magazine. On the cover was a photo from our sports day demonstration with the headline, "Redefining Corporate Wellness, How Two Women Transformed Family Rivalry into Revolutionary Leadership." "The article's already generating interest from other companies," I said, sitting down. "They want to implement our program nationwide." "And the community center is expanding to 3 more locations," Denise added. "Eva's training new instructors next week." Josh reached for Denise's hand. "Remember when you used to measure success by how many people showed up to your yoga classes? Remember when you used to measure it by keeping everyone happy?" She countered gently. "Speaking of measuring things differently," Mom interrupted, bringing in the lasagna, "I have news." We all turned to her. She stood straighter, using the presence techniques we'd taught her. "I'm going back to school," she announced, "to get my counseling degree. All those years mediating family drama, might as well make it official." "Mom," Paris squealed, "that's amazing." Dad stood up, wrapping an arm around Mom's waist. "Tell them the rest." "The community center offered me a part-time position," Mom continued, "running support groups for families dealing with similar issues to ours. Looks like transformation runs in the family," Eva observed. As we settled into dinner, the conversation flowed naturally. No forced politeness, no hidden barbs, no competition for attention. "I've been thinking," Denise said during a lull, "about that first dinner when all this started." The room quieted. "I was so wrong," she continued, "but I'm grateful for that wrongness now. It led us here." "To lasagna?" Josh joked. "To truth," I corrected. "To real strength." "Speaking of which," Paris chimed in, "wait until you see the messages we're getting from the article. People sharing their own family transformation stories. It's becoming a movement." "A movement needs leaders," Eva said pointedly. I nodded, understanding. "That's actually why I wanted everyone here tonight. The Seattle office isn't just about tech anymore. We're launching a full corporate wellness division, focusing on authentic leadership and strength. And," Denise added, "we're partnering with community centers nationwide to make these programs accessible to everyone." "We?" Dad asked. "I've asked Denise to head up the community outreach program," I explained. "Nobody better understands both sides of this transformation." Denise blinked back tears. "I haven't said yes yet." "But you will," Josh said softly, "because you finally found your real strength." We all did, Mom added, serving the lasagna. "Now who's hungry?" As we ate, I watched my family. Really watched them. Dad discussing program logistics with Eva, Mom sharing course catalogs with Paris, Josh and Denise planning community outreach strategies. "Hey," Denise caught my attention. "Remember when I thought strength was about making others feel weak? Remember when I let you?" She laughed. A real laugh, not the perfect social titter she used to affect. We were both so lost. "Not lost," I corrected, "just looking for strength in the wrong places." "And now?" I gestured around the room, at our transformed family, at the magazine cover, at the future unfolding before us. "Now we're showing others where to find it." Eva raised her glass. "To finding strength in unexpected places." "To family," Mom added. "To transformation," Denise offered. "To truth," Josh contributed. "To all of it," I concluded. "And to whatever comes next." As we clinked glasses, I caught my reflection in the window. The woman looking back wasn't seeking revenge anymore. She wasn't trying to prove anything. She was simply, powerfully, authentically herself. And that was the greatest transformation of all.